Okay, and good afternoon, people. Welcome to the Smudcast number 941, I believe. Gameplay is king, the lackluster standards of game criticism. Oh boy, this is a fun topic for anyone into gaming and reading about the new release or the game they like so much, and the journalists trying to critique or review a game and see why they are good or bad. This is from the AtrophyOfSoulX, and this just came out last month, pretty much. Has almost 5,000 views, and this is from almost a 7,000 sub channel. So good on you, sir. People are watching stuff. This is a almost 14-minute video, and we never covered him. We don't know what he's like, but it's a good topic. I think IGN has sort of lost its value in the 2020s and probably in the 2010s. Who knows? But we don't need game journalists as we used to back in 2000s or even the 90s when we had no actual journalism or talking about games. I remember watching just one gaming show on TV because that's all we had. And then Elec Play came on, and that was all we had. And that went away. So, yeah, magazines, eventually with the internet, RPG.
Mainly magazines.
Yeah, that was it. And that was like Nintendo stuff, which is already great. Like, you're like, oh, Nintendo. I don't really need a magazine for Nintendo, but why not? It's cool. So
well, that sounds like you lived in a cultural dustbin. I mean, even we had tons of. Maybe it's because Germany was at the forefront of video games back then. We had several PC magazines, and for the old computers, like the Amiga specific magazines. There was a C64 magazine. I still have some issues from that one. Most of them I gifted away, which was a mistake. And yeah, we had there was the official Nintendo magazine, which basically was the in-house advertisement. But there were some other magazines. I very fondly remember the N64 magazine in Germany. It had relatively few issues, but it came with a VHS.
Wow.
With a VHS tape.
That's crazy.
Yeah, with game footage and everything, not just trailers. Because all the PC magazines, they had CDs at the time already. But that magazine, and this is why it was rather expensive. So there was back then 15 Deutsche Mark, which would be something like $7, $7 if you direct translate it to today. I don't without inflation. I don't know about inflation in this. That was pretty expensive, especially since that's technically aimed at kids, and but that magazine figured that, well, our target audience are console players. They're less likely to have a personal computer, so they probably still have a VHS. Let's do a video. Kids can operate that easy. And it was great. There was no commentary or anything on it. It was just a plain somebody plays the video game footage. And there was one they had on there several times because they liked it so much. I think Forsaken was there on several times, and I thought that game is so cool. I need to have that.
Well, I did actually meet Victor Lucas when I was doing game design in school. That was like 2003, 2004. I can't remember. And we didn't have. Well, we had magazines. I never really checked them out. That's the PSX, PS2 era. So, but now we have all kinds of gaming websites and different genres specific to that. And you're going to get dozens of opinions from, I would argue, more competitive and more gamer-centric people than what you get on IGN or Kotaku or any of these other places that just don't have good enough understanding of games or the genre itself. So it really depends on the reviewer. And IGN is just, like, I just saw, a blog post about Mass Effect, and the people on Amazon said they had to change the story so non-gamers could like it. And I was like, what the hell? What? Kind of this is the dumbest rumor you might have heard coming from the people producing a science fiction story.
I just have to ask again because you just fried my brain with that line. That was what? Mass Effect?
Yeah. Well, people have been arguing Mass Effect's been in the production for over a decade, and apparently it's going through this time, but the problem they're having is they want to de-gamify whatever that means, the story, so it's more appealing to most. And everyone in the comments is like, this is stupid. What do you mean? That's so silly. There's no reason to do that. All you do is write a good story for the Mass Effect universe. That's all you have to do. And whether the gamers will like it is really up to whether the format is any good for a science fiction story on Amazon.
What is it? Do you know what a de-gamified story is?
Well, I don't even know what a right.
Basically, think of a movie.
Well,
So, you know.
Yeah, but that's that you already have. With the story mode difficulty, which is difficulty 0 or -1.
Well, when you write a story,
what do you mean? Is there's different writing itself?
Well, yeah,
right?
I mean, when you write a story for science fiction, obviously you have to be very specific on what it's about, how it's done, whether it's hard or soft, all the basic details. But if you're just putting it into this universe, it doesn't matter if it's a game universe, it doesn't matter if it's Tolkien or whatever. It has to just fit in that universe properly. It feels like that. And and not have rock and roll music, obviously. So you have to do stuff like that. And it has nothing to do with gamifying. Like, how would you gamify a movie? It doesn't make sense. Or de-gamify.
So the whole point of gamifying Mass Effect is just to bring in verisimilitude.
I don't know. I really don't know. It's a weird thing to say, and it's a weird rumor to get from the Amazon offices, because we know Amazon is pretty shit when it comes to telling stories, at least from the Fallout universe and the Tolkien universe. I don't know what they're doing now that's good. I haven't paid attention because I don't subscribe to it. So
I think that term is just completely invented and made up, and to be an excuse in order to, instead of what the story actually is of the given franchise, it is replaced with the standard slop script that Hollywood and company always do.
It's hard to say. It could just be a rumor. It could just be, people being confused for the past year trying to get a script out the door. But if they did Halo, if they did all this other stuff, it doesn't look good. So
I still remember hearing about Dean Takahashi after the whole Cuphead thing.
He's still haunting you?
He did a review of Mass Effect and he rated it badly because he was too stupid to level up his characters.
Really? In Mass Effect?
Yeah.
Wow.
He didn't spend any skill points to upgrade his characters.
Jeez.
Even the game that has the difficulty option of -1. He failed.
Well, okay. Anyway, let's not get into that. That's a whole other thing. So this is about 14 minutes of gameplay is king. Okay. The lackluster standards of game criticism. Here we go.
Claiming that stories can elevate bad games
intro.
is akin to claiming that type fonts can elevate bad pieces of literature. It's a misunderstanding of the medium promoted by media critics and influencer types who exhibit poor levels of mechanical comprehension. These people are analogous to a first grader attempting to critique Bertrand Russell's Problems of Philosophy, and by some twist of fate, these are the very same people who have been tasked with shaping the industry's future. The standards most echoed in general gaming discussions is political in nature, where game quality...
Not necessarily. He's saying things very generally. I know what he's saying, but just get specific.
To the tenets of cultural Marxism, or as we have colloquially dubbed it, wokeness. This also works in the inverse, where those who outright reject wokeness assess games primarily by how much they align or stray from the tenets of cultural Marxism. For example, if you were to ask both sides of this...
Sorry, I just upped the resolution on my end and then made it play again.
Okay.
Ask both sides of this conflict their thoughts. Quote-unquote, one of the greatest games of all time. Yes, I know, they have terrible taste. If you want to hear my further thoughts on this, you can watch this video here. Further...
I can barely read that. The Last of Us...
The Last of Us mediocrity masquerading as mastery.
Okay, that's a critical view of the first game. Fair, you could say that. There's lots of things to to look at that are mediocre in those games or in the first version of a game? Sure.
The game.
Thicker borders on the letters is the only nitpick I have.
Yeah.
The gameplay in The Last of Us, it's at best it's secondary. It's probably even tertiary.
Yeah, it's like when we
it's story. It's all about the story.
Yeah, when we look at
but that's about the first game.
Well, yeah, but the games are half and half. There's half gameplay combat and there's half story stuff. And it's the same with Mass Effect, only the gameplay is integrated with the story so much that the dialogue wheel is like 40% of the experience.
A little bit of a difference.
Yeah.
With Mass Effect, there's some choice in the story, you can impact the story somewhat.
Yeah, I seem to think of it like a door that there's 3 ways to get through the door, but you're still going through the door at the next step.
Whereas in The Last of Us, it's static. You don't get a choice in how the story plays out.
Right, and I would say that it's probably a smoother experience with that because the gameplay is just is combat, and then it goes into a cutscene in the same level design, and then you go back to gameplay. Mass Effect it gets a little weird, and because it's science fiction, there's a lot of stuff that your brain doesn't make sense of, and even if it's not science fiction, like why did Saren just commit suicide because I told him to? Like it's stupid shit like that doesn't get answered, and it's
because you're convinced in that the Reapers are going to genocide the entire galaxy.
Yeah, but you really didn't. You just said it's your last chance to redeem yourself. Hint, nudge, nudge, and he puts the gun to his head, and you're like, what? How did that happen? And then when he dies, and then Sovereign just sort of faints. He just sort of goes, and then like the shields are down, and he's like paper mache, a giant 2-kilometer piece of paper, and you're like, what? Like all of that doesn't get answered. Like, why is this happening? And it's awesome and fun, and explosions are happening. Like, this is cool. But
because Smart, you are already indoctrinated.
Yeah. Anyway, stupid shit happens in these games.
It's a dream,
and things have to make sense, and they don't answer them. That's where things get bad. So.
Thoughts on The Last of Us 2, one side, the other would claim that it is one of the worst games ever made. So what is the cause of such a large discrepancy? My longtime viewers won't enjoy hearing this, but angry lesbians and roided up supermams notwithstanding.
Whoa, calm down, sir.
Why?
Angry.
But this is how we've been talking for the past 10 years.
Angry lesbians and roided up superwomen. Okay.
Yeah, look, it's just because Hawk isn't here.
The Last of Us 2 is just a series of lies, broken promises, and Neil Druckmann's self-insert, undisguised fetish.
Didn't we just see Neil Druckmann's self-insert?
I don't know. I don't think about it anyway. It's
the one who spits on Joel.
Joel? That was Joel?
Yeah, as he's being...
I thought that was Ellie. All right, never mind.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter.
Standing. This 2 is everything that a fan of the original could ask for, featuring far more intricate level design, dynamic enemy encounters, and expanded combat mechanics. Admitting this doesn't weaken the position of the anti-woke reactionary, as the Last of Us games were crafted with the intention of subverting audience expectations and social mores, but to write them off entirely based upon their narrative failures without factoring in the quality of their gameplay is analogous to judging a book by its cover. If we were to tweak the narrative of The Last of Us 2 to fit woke reactionaries without changing a single thing about the core game design, these reactionaries would have hailed it as a medium-defining masterpiece, and therein lies the problem. How can a game go from being a 0 out of 10 to a 10 out of 10 based solely upon its thematic context? Even though ideologically I'm closer aligned to these reactionaries, this style of critique is inconsistent and short-sighted, perpetuating the ideas that games can only be great if they reflect our personal values. Even if it is the case that games in the style of The Last of Us are made with a narrative focus in mind, it does not stand to reason that we should therefore write off the strengths and weaknesses of their core game design. It is the unfortunate case that we cannot speak about the failures of game critique without also discussing political frameworks such as these. However,
we don't have to. We don't have to even think about it or mention it, and we could be just fine talking about the game as is. So that'll work too. We don't have to talk anything about how the game was made. We don't have to do that. No, not at all.
Narratively speaking, it's basically Disney Wars 2. The
Um,
one done by Rian Johnson.
Oh,
What you mean? What you mean, Ninja Gaiden?
No. The Last of Us 2
Oh,
as a
yeah,
story.
yeah.
It's basically that, and since it's such a story-focused game, and it fails every storytelling metric possible.
Yeah, that is another thing. If your game is super focused on
That's basically
story,
why. That's basically why the game is shit.
well, I don't think you have to
Yeah.
bring up politics to bring up the person who created it or the critic who thinks that way. It's sort of like, oh, this is where he might be coming from. Maybe Druckmann is like that. I don't care. He's probably too busy putting his own crap in there to think about politics.
That his own crap is politics. He's nothing but that.
Maybe
That's the entire issue with these craptivists.
I tend to think people who are like that can't have the ability to be creative in the first place. They're too focused on their ideology to make anything. So
Well,
yes, technically that is true, but
That's true because
they
in
never
Henning,
prove it.
well, Last of Us 2 did make a lot of creative decisions.
right, but they weren't
No,
like
people-
I'm a lesbian, therefore I'm going to make whatever a guy looking girl. I'm like, what? No, that's just
It's
how
like
that's what they
the
want.
person who's making it is just totally self-indulgent. If they just constantly put, man, I really like this politician. I'm going to put him in my game
Yeah, I
over
don't-
and over again.
I can't
we have
see
the
that.
same
Yeah.
shit going on in Magic the Gathering for the past years, and it's not really getting better. It's ebbing a bit. It's not as prominent as with the Lord of the Rings set, but the art quality is constantly going down, even if they make better foils now. But you had in the space set, which somehow was Magic, still a transitioning main character but they didn't really actually transition, just this weird body modification to a non-binary, I don't know what it is. You could tell that from the cards because the character looked different by the end of that.
And that was in the Lord of the Rings set?
No. Edge of Eternities. They
Oh.
did actually want to add trans characters in Lord of the Rings. I think they wanted to make Galadriel trans or something.
I thought they'd make Gollum if they were going to do that.
No. I'm not shitting. But I'm not shitting you. It's absolutely, it's insane what they leaked out. What was actually planned, but called back to be too extreme.
And let me guess, they only got to do that because the Tolkien estate got handed over to someone else.
Well, we'll see what happens when they release The Hobbit later this year. But what was next? Right. They basically had turned one of their main characters, the pretty girl Chandra, Fire Mage, basis, so simple terms. They dewomanized her effectively by just making her look like a flat-chested dude. In Everdrift, she was even on the booster pack art, and in the upcoming Strixhaven, which is basically Magic the Gathering, but it's Harry Potter without being Harry Potter. But you have Magic School with everybody's an animal, and you have a fat mute owl who communicates in sign language, and a fat vampire who looks like he has Down syndrome.
There's so much in what you're saying right now.
And a tiny goblin who looks like a vampire, but he has magical paint powers where he paints things, and it looks like an ice cream cone, and it's just disgusting. And
isn't that just for Sims?
Yeah, by now, yes. But it dies a slow. Magic the Gathering dies a slow death because most of its players mainly care about the mechanics of the game and the story and setting second, which is why it took a lot of people who were okay with all the universes beyond stuff, which is the non-magic things in Magic, like Final Fantasy, which was an okay thing, it's still fantasy. but also Spider-Man and Ninja Turtles. They were okay with that for some time, and now even the people who are only interested in the mechanics have stopped to excuse these weird extra sets that are also damn ugly. April O'Neil in the turtle set is a black-skinned woman with a giant afro, by the way, and she's not pretty, just as always.
They didn't even
Every
give her
time.
They didn't even give her an afro in that movie.
She has an afro now. There's always an afro woman who takes the place of a ginger.
Oh, if only they did that in Little Mermaid. Could you imagine?
Oh, yeah, that would be unimaginable.
An afro underwater? That'd be amazing.
Look, imagine having Rasta hair underwater. How heavy that would be. That would never dry. Would just mold.
I just love how they did that, and it makes. I mean, I know the reason, but it still makes no sense because then they race swapped every single one of Triton's daughters. So if you wanted a black
he's got
girl,
around. Look, he's the king of the seven seas. He has one daughter from every sea.
All right.
He was collecting them all.
Anyway,
but
let's get back on topic.
Just by listing all these things that Magic the Gathering has accumulated over the past few years, the list is quite excessive at this point.
All right.
So it's always politics.
I have a question. I just popped in and he said what I expected he'd say. He talked about he just made a point of you have politics in games because stories, by virtue of being like in-depth stories, will have stuff adjacent to politics, and you got to judge them differently based on that. Or
well, you would base it off the setting and what the actual conflict is, how you define a political conflict or an issue of discussion that two characters are having, or is it like someone versus the state, or is it the oppression of the people? There's all kinds of ways of gauging a political issue. So the problem is not to like, oh, this would never happen. And it's like, well, it's a fantasy world. Maybe they do have this sort of scenario that would make sense. Like, let's say you wanted, I don't know, some idealized socialist economy, and it's working, and you're like playing this game like this would never work. Central planning would just fail after the first few hours. But you have to go with it because that's what the world is, and it's obviously working in the fiction of the world. So you're like, okay, fine, but you're not explaining X, Y, and Z, how there's a support mechanism for this all to balance out. So you have to do the basics if you want to go that route. And that's the same problem with science fiction. If you don't go the basics of explaining how fusion power works or some other like time travel or something, and you're using hard science fiction, that's a huge issue.
I would counter that with as generally people, I'm more inclined to just plainly accept, okay, we have fusion power in this universe, we have warp travel figured out, or in any of these other things, or we have magic. It's done by why did this thing happen? How do you throw fireball? Well, magic. How do you do that? Well, I cast a spell.
That's a soft system.
I'm willing to accept that. But if you say, well, we have communism and it actually works and it's utopia, it's wonderful, then I'm more skeptical than, oh well, I just use magic to throw a fireball.
No.
Because I want to know that thing doesn't actually work, and we have no concept of how it could work.
Yeah, that's
we have
only
proof against it working.
Because if you're using a hard science fiction or a detailed understanding of any topic like economics, and you're not providing the basics, then the viewers who are obviously knowledgeable will go, this is crap, this is dumb. But if it's like Star Wars, where you used to have turbo lasers and flying anti-gravity ships and this and that, and it's not the focus.
Communism would still not work.
Well, no, but it's not. That's not
lasers?
The point. Yeah, it's
Whisp.
It's
Magic.
not the point. Yeah, see that's where you could say it's just magic because there's a certain level of detail and it's visual, and people understand it. It's commonplace. And everyone has it.
Yeah.
It's fine.
I would just say you don't need, depending on the context, you don't need to absolutely explain everything. Even if
it's hard.
Well, because it's more just my specific stuff with how stories are told, but like when this topic comes up, I usually think of BioShock in terms of, this game setting. It has politics in it, a lot of politics when you think about it, but it's not the focus. It's not a
It's not a political struggle,
Yeah, but
exactly.
it also plays it through honestly with all its flaws.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, it's just like, because it's like you said, you need an explanation, and it's like when you really analyze BioShock and all the different characters, you got communists here, you got some anarchist characters, you got actual like capitalist characters, you have the objectivist character in terms of Andrew Ryan, but the game's not going in depth of like, hey, how does all this, like, as far as like what's the reason the player's here and what's the reason this stuff is happening. It's not going in super in depth of all the factions. Like, all you need for an explanation is, hey, Adam and a war happened. Like, that's why we're here.
That's why when I talk about it, give me an example of a political struggle or political story, and people usually bring up like popular crap like the West Wing and this and that. I'm like, well, the conflict is not really political. It's just a bunch of people in an office. It just happens to be the West Wing of the White House, but they're all having like little disputes of like Bob said this and Susan said that. So it's not really about politics. It's just in a political setting. So all these things that like with BioShock is great because it uses these ideas as the setting. And it goes, what would happen if people wanted power in that setting? How would that work? What would that look like? And then you have all
what would happen if mutants got thrown into that?
And superhumans, and we were fighting around in
and you're under the sea.
Barometric chamber, water gushing.
Because Ken Levine, even with the third game, even with Infinite, he was always adamant that he was never trying to tell you to, pick a side. In any, at least as far as like, it wasn't about telling you, hey, objectivism's good. Hey,
no,
it was never about that. It was all just. I think at one point he said, like, if you wanted to take a consistent theme from all the games, it was just extremism is bad. And it's like he was never. He's still adamant. He was never asking people to pick a side.
Yeah.
It's just the setting. It's just how stuff carries out. You're the player. It was just to have a colorful, dynamic world.
Yeah, I think
the thing with Andrew Ryan is that he wants to convince you with arguments only, not with you must follow me. He just appeals to you, to your individuality, which sadly you don't have in that game.
Yeah, I think the games themselves were complicated enough. The demos and the videos we saw of, let's say, the third game for BioShock was.
Oh, you mean Infinite, right?
Infinite, yeah. It didn't live up to the expectations of those demos.
Yeah, though, if you compare it, it's really unbelievable how different it is.
And I think that the focus was so much on getting the game right, let alone like the message or whatever the hell people think it's about.
They cut a lot of stuff.
Yeah, exactly. So they tried to make a product that matched what they designed to do, which had very little to do with the idea of religion or time travel or this or that. It had to do with, can we actually do these things technically? And they turned out they couldn't. And they just gave us what we could. And that's unfortunately all we got. But the narrative still made some sense. It wasn't perfect.
Yeah, it's just the DLC kind of.
Oh, God, I didn't touch that.
Yeah, well, no, it's just because, like I said earlier, like he was adamant each game is just about.
Yeah.
It carries a theme of. If you judge Infinite just by the base game, like, they're not asking you to pick a side at all either. Like, they clearly show Comstock's bad and the Vox Populi is bad, and it's because they're both off the deep end of taking it to extremes. And if you just look at Infinite, if you look at the main story on its own, but then he got backlash, and then the DLC tried to placate some people. Yeah, like it makes, if you just look at how the main campaign treats what's her name, Fitzroy, it makes no sense what the DLC does, but that's because they got backlash.
Yeah.
You mean pressure from communists?
Well,
like Angry Joe.
But nobody else complains about, the communists didn't win and be put in a good light.
Yeah, anyway.
Nobody but communists complains about that.
Anyway, let's get back to the video because I think we strayed a bit too far.
Anyway, Judas is coming out.
Between audiences. those who prioritize narrative. It is my contention that those who prioritize narratives generally don't understand what video games are, as they
No. Again, games can be a lot about narrative and integrated with gameplay very well. It depends on the game. So you can't say, oh, this FPS is all about gameplay. It's like, well, no, there's lots of games that are all about narrative and with FPSs. So
No, but his point is a different one. The people who complain about the games only complain about the narrative that they reject.
I want to know an example of
They
what
don't
he's saying.
they usually do not even talk about the gameplay because they don't play the games.
That's another issue entirely, though.
Yeah,
I want to
it's like
know.
what-
Yeah,
I think they completely go together, because that is what as a propagandist and
Yeah, but
agitator you would do.
I want the specific example of the Kotaku article talking about Last of Us Part 2. Like, that's the great... Like, any IGN would do that too. Like, it would be 10 out of 10 game. It's amazing. But it's like, okay, we'll slow down there.
I think the thing it all depends on is how focused is the game on story and narrative. Because, if it's massively focused on narrative, then you would judge it heavily on it. And
Yeah.
it's like, what's a heavy story, like a really story-heavy game with still a lot of I don't know, something like Deus Ex, right? Because that has a lot of plot.
Okay.
And you wouldn't. There's a better example, but no, like you wouldn't compare Deus Ex to something like Mario and be like, Deus Ex is better because it has a better story, and Mario's story sucks. It's like,
Yeah, like look at
Mario doesn't have a lot of story. It's not supposed to.
I think look at a game like Disco Elysium.
Mario RPG.
Sorry.
Paper Mario RPG.
Oh, very heavy story game. Yeah.
Any Mario game has a better story than The Last of Us 2.
Okay, but
that's true.
There are games that are specifically about story, and they are very well regarded, even if you don't like them. Planescape Torment, very similar to Disco Elysium in the style of the game and how you go about discovering about yourself through your whatever happened.
D&D Planescape Torment.
The interplay style, isometric, yeah, exactly. It's whatever those style of games you want to call it.
Oh, no, I think it's specifically a D&D game.
Well, I want to break it down, because with Disco Elysium, it's not about the rule set. It's about the narrative, and you're just talking to yourself, in a sense, as you go about exploring. And people say, well, it's about capitalism in this Euro-socialist world. And you're like, that's the setting. That's not really what it's about. That's just sort of there. And it's all about discovering the mystery of what the hell happened the past few nights that you were blackout drunk. So, but it has elements of talking about capitalism with your friends and people, and they have their own political opinions. So that is why we sort of look at those games. Are those really games? Or are they just trying to have a narrative where you interact with the narrative and just keep the plot going? So it really depends on the game. It really depends. Like, even with Mass Effect, 40% was just
yeah,
talking.
I should have said that.
Yeah.
But also, the narrative, if the narrative just makes sense in context of itself, that's good enough for me. It doesn't have to be a narrative that I fully agree with.
No.
One point I wanted to make was one of the problems with some journalists is they keep complaining that a game does not play itself. They have to actually do stuff within the game for the game to progress. So they want to basically just have the game just play by itself, so they can pretend to be the movie critics that they failed at being in the first place.
But that's outside of the scope of what this guy's talking about, because you could say TFT from League of Legends is an auto battler, so you just move your units around and you just wait for them to win or lose. So that's a very hands-off, very casual style game, which is a very different than the AAA narrative focus and high frame rate third-person, first-person shooter stuff that I think he's trying to get at. So doesn't mean you can't tell a story with that with an auto battler. Sure, you can, but it's always going to be in cutscenes or passively done. It's never going to be like, oh, now you have to make choices about story. It's like, no, I'm not here for that. I'm here to do cool combinations with my my 3-star whatever class he's a part of, and get other classes on there to amp up his stats. So It depends on the style of the game, depends on the scale of the game, depends what the focus of the game is. Then you can make those arguments, I think.
Gaming to the standards of film and literature without taking into account that gaming is uniquely defined by interactivity.
True.
The standards of passive mediums cannot be mapped down one-to-one because the agency of the player is the driving element of video games.
Okay, but then you're specifically saying technical games about gameplay are not one-to-one. That's true. But you can do the same with the narrative elements because those are passive. So it's the same thing.
Interactivity, the game only exists conceptually, unlike other mediums where works exist despite whether or not a listener, viewer, or reader is there to engage with them. A video game without a player is like a film without its lead actor, a canvas without a painter, or a guitar without a guitarist. It's a set of particulars which has no identity until user input is enacted. Games which emphasize narrative often do so to cater to the sensibilities of the lowest common denominator, hence the reason that uniformity has become commonplace amongst the AAA space.
Not necessarily. I think uniformity is just after seeing what's out there, the next game designer says, I can do better, I can add to it, I like that, I'm going to use it. And that's normal in all formats, whether it's technology or media or gaming. It doesn't make a difference.
Yeah, I can agree with... Sorry, yeah.
Yeah, the AAA space is just homogenizing because it's all high investment and they all want to play it safe.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's why we see EA has always stomped out all the creative studios that they acquired. And the simple answer to that is that even though those studios got on their radar, became successful because they were daring and had cool and passionate ideas they put out into the world, once they were acquired by EA, they suffered under the obsession of playing it safe. And EA didn't understand playing it safe as make the thing again that you made and build on that, which would be sane, but make the thing streamlined to the marketing strategy that our non-gaming psychopaths on the boardroom have thought up.
That's dependent on the financial scenario of whatever that daring company was at the time. And BioWare is a great example because they would have never made Mass Effect 2 if it wasn't for Microsoft, and they wouldn't have made anything after that if they get bought out by EA.
Didn't they get pressured? Like, wasn't that one of those cases where the publisher just told them, "Hey, we want you to put this popular mechanic in"?
It depends.
It was because Mass Effect 2 was like where they added a bunch of cover shooting, right?
Well, that was part of it, but the actual ideas of like let's make guns have ammo and you have that cool effect where you reload.
Yeah,
that's all internal.
Is that a normalization?
That's
of gaming?
No, those are just the people at BioWare going, we want it to be cooler. We want it to make it feel cool. You know, all these dumb.
But if that was the time where it really wasn't the developers doing that, it was really publishers saying forcing multiplayer stuff. Well. Yeah, if it was BioWare, then it was. Then.
With EA, that's where you get Mass Effect 3 and the multiplayer crap. Yeah, that's true. But
they shoved that to everything.
Yeah, but Mass Effect 2 was the only game, as far as I know, what I understand of BioWare, where they didn't have the BioWare magic, where there was no crunch time. There was at the end, which is normal, but not throughout the entire project. So it was the one design that they all wanted to do their way, and it became the best out of all the games that people, when they talk about BioWare games, that's their favorite, or that's the one that was...
Oh, 2 is?
Yeah, apparently.
I thought, don't you hate 2, though?
Oh, I hate 2. 2's my most hated one, exactly.
Yeah, I thought, I just could have sworn it was the first game that was considered the best.
For me, it's the best, yeah, but in terms of fans and sales...
I thought the fans considered the first
Well, the hardcore fans who like storytelling and the world of Mass Effect and the characters and all that stuff, they go, no, the first game is the most consistent. It makes the most sense. The hardest sci-fi one. But the second one was that was the one where they were free to do whatever they wanted. They put all this money into marketing. They hired a new guy to do the cinematics, and they redesigned all the gameplay. They made the stupid orb spinning mining bullshit. You know, they had all their fun. Let's just try all this crazy shit. After we did all that crazy shit before, we'll do even more crazy shit.
Usually they do that for the third game, where they just throw everything at the wall.
That also happened. Yes, you're right. But but there was no BioWare magic. It was all just this is our schedule. This is our budget. This is what Microsoft let us do.
Yeah, But then, of course, they saved it with Andromeda, right?
I don't know. I don't know.
That's how you don't
That's
know
a
what
whole other story. Yeah.
Don't
Mass
remind me
Effect
that
2
I
would
never
be-
got a Dungeon Keeper free where they just threw all the shit at the wall because I want that.
You see, I can appreciate that with a third game where they're like, we're not making another one. Let's just do everything we want
yeah.
to do. I can appreciate that, but yeah. But
Anyway.
Mass Effect 2 would have been so much better if it kept pretending it wasn't a video game.
I don't know. There's so many things they should
The
have done.
original one,
Well, I think the original one was kind of like, can we do this? We've done KOTOR. We're barely afloat. We can barely pay our bills. Dragon Age is never going to get done. We tried Jade Empire. That was a flop. All these things started happening. So,
Considering the way they went about the decision-making character stuff, that wasn't as open as it was in older games like Planescape Torment, like Baldur's Gate 2. Should they just have gotten some Japanese people to help with their basically persona in space?
what do you mean by that?
Well, you have your gameplay thingies, but then you have just these story parts where you basically just make very simple dialogue choices that just affect whether a character likes you or not.
Oh, you mean like a positive or negative?
yeah.
Which is generally the main Japanese story RPG game thing.
Well, I mean, they did that with Dragon Age where you give characters items and they always like them. It's just some of them like the same items with more hearts, I guess. So
some of them actually dislike items depending on what you give them.
Oh yeah, okay, there you go. Fair enough. But yeah, that's a simple system of garnering attention from your companions. So
I mainly mean because the Japanese have that type of game down at this point.
Oh, you mean the romance simulators or whatever they're called?
Well, the entire game is just that in regards to the
visual
dialogue, and
novels?
including to how you affect the world. It's just not that much.
So an AVN, but with more detailed character interactions causing a plot branch or something like that. Okay, yeah, they could have done that. But their game was fully 3D, and they had all these levels for some good reason. Like walking around the Citadel was cool, but did they really need it? Probably not.
Because it's empty. There's nothing there.
They wanted to give that sense of scale. Like it really felt like you were in a big universe because of that. And if they did it one time, they had to keep doing it. So the Citadel is huge. The planets you land in are huge.
And empty.
It did feel empty, but it also felt alive as well. Whereas Mass Effect 2 just feels like a video game. It just feels like I'm playing Gears of War and.
Well, no, Mass Effect 2 on the New Normandy felt empty. That was boring. That was like there's no music, there's no rush, there's no we gotta go do the thing or else the world's gonna blow up. It's like we gotta go collect Tali. It's like why? Because it's Tali.
Because we like her.
Yeah, it's like okay, I guess.
Wait, Tali? I love Tali.
I know, but that's the only
See?
reason. You want to go collect?
Who is
Zaid?
the best romance? Do you think? Not Ashley.
Wait, the hot blue-skinned alien's not in this one.
Forget about it. Anyway.
Most AAA games play almost exactly the same, featuring highly scripted set pieces, crafting, light RPG mechanics.
Oh, I meant to say...
Cameras, bland,
I meant to say about... You mentioned... I can't agree with the whole thing about it's like a guitar without a guitarist. It's like a game without player input is like video games as a medium have specific ways of doing things that should be embraced, not just, hey, let's do cutscenes for 20 minutes. As far as, there's specific ways to do it. That's why people play games. And it's like, I would compare it to, the differences between other mediums. Like this stuff comic books can only do because they're a comic book and not.
Well, yeah, but
that works as your intro and your finale, your outro.
Yeah, but look at look at Metal Gear. Like Hideo Kojima wanted movies. He wanted to do movies.
Yeah, and that's why that's not my thing, to be honest.
And you can still interact with some of the cutscenes and codec calls.
Well,
in
once you
way.
once you
I think
get
the
to
longest was Final Fantasy X that ended with like what felt like an hour.
well, that's another story issue. I was saying that because of the ROM capacity on Blu-ray or DVDs for storing media, because a guy like Hideo, he just puts everything into his game, no matter good or bad. I think the fourth game had like 10 hours.
For when it came out, it became instantly famous for the sheer amount of cutscenes.
Yeah, like you have a 1 hour gameplay scene, and then you have like an hour and a half of in between of all these cutscenes of non-interactive events.
That's a bit much.
And
That's kind of
you can watch the movie for 10 hours. I watched it 10 hours of MGS4 on YouTube. So,
hey, I will tell you, Xenoblade Chronicles 2 also has 10 hours of cutscenes.
yeah, but that's an open world style game, isn't it? It's like a big game.
Yeah, well, and that makes just about 10% of the game.
Oh, really?
Are they skippable?
Yeah, you play that for 100 hours on your first playthrough.
Huh.
If the cutscenes aren't skippable, then it's not as good as MGS4.
Well,
They are skippable.
see, that's part of the format though, because you have these input options, which are huge, or to you maybe not so huge, but then there's the actual gameplay, then there's the actual storyline dialogue options that you can choose, and then you have the cutscenes. So it's like we have the time and money to make it our way, and the designer wants to do all these things for whatever reason. So he's kind of appealing to everyone in that regard of format, which is not good or bad. It just does it work.
Yeah, it's just a special thing about video. I guess it's not relevant anyway, but
It is special about video games because we do everything in video games. Interactivity.
well, no, because like the unique way a video game does the story versus just making it a movie. Like the example I can think of just immediately off the top of my head is like in Infamous 2. If you've never played that, even though it's over a decade old, but it has a brief cutscene, and then you do your narrative choices through the gameplay, and there's a very important narrative choice towards the end where it has you do it versus having a cutscene just show it happen,
Mhm.
And that's the strength, and that's far more impactful where you're pressing the button to do the horrible thing or the good thing versus you just watch a cool cutscene.
And with the storytelling and passive elements by itself, you can just take, I think, the example of the AVN or the Japanese concept of drama. If you want to go the romantic critique of whatever the Japanese have been doing for decades, all you have to do, and this is a very common thing, movies are basically real life with the background music. That's one of those catchphrases people say. So imagine you could get drama to come across so quickly with just one visual and one piece of music and a bunch of dialogue. You can do the same effect as a lot of these cutscenes, if not even better, because you're focused just on the dialogue and you have like a picture or a still frame, and the music is really pushing the story going. For that, 2 minutes or whatever you're doing, reading the dialogue or the narrative. So you can say, okay, well, we don't need, fully interactive 3D with branching choices and all this stuff. All we need is like really good licensed music or a Philharmonic from Europe, and we can just make people cry, and it's going to be amazing drama. And everyone loves the characters and the story because we have the right media playing with the right words at the same time as the visuals are just, one guy or one pretty girl or whatever thing blowing up in the background. We can do that in a video game. And it's cheaper, it's faster, it's easier. So is that more effective or as effective as, let's say, hiring all these artists and voice actors for, what is this, God of War that people seem to love? And, can you imagine if they just cut that out? Let's just have like still cutscenes in a very stylized comic book, or
I'd be amazed.
It'd be different. Yeah, I'd be like, wow, this is like,
You mean like paint like a text scroll images like an old DOS
Imagine
game?
lithographs, because this is like ancient Norse, right?
So, they did something really cool, like animated paintings,
or stone, stone etches of what Thor would look like, and just to have
like
that.
almost clay. And
Like
That's an idea.
be creative of the time. Like how would this
do that
look?
though.
Yeah, and it would be this whole. You have to hire this entire artist just to do that. It'd be so
You have
specific.
to hire artists versus Hollywood actors in order to get the names on the game.
No
and make
3D motion capture needed. Yeah, exactly. You would just get the artist to do the one still frame per scene and flip it for the next one. It would be this whole lithograph style etching. Like that could
They'd
be a
never
thing.
do that. If they did do that, they would never give it the budget to be fully realized.
It would be cheaper. It would just take longer because the guy would have to draw everything. Yeah.
I think it really is the publishers think, because they want to make games more like movies, because they want
Right.
to make the big bucks, and it's being reinforced that movie games are the money makers. Unfortunately,
It's but it's a lie they tell. They try to make real by
Well, I will
speaking
argue.
it into reality, and I think the reason for that is that so a movie is kinetic. It's just one direction, and you can't stop it, and you can't affect the story. And I think that's why they want to do that, because then the message is forced.
I will argue though, when Final Fantasy VII came out, and that was the most visually, technically most complicated game at the time for the PlayStation. I think it was '97. A buddy of mine who wasn't into RPGs, he saw cutscenes, and he bought it just because of how it looked. So
yeah.
so there is the element of, oh, this is like a movie, and people buy it. And now gaming is bigger than several times larger than the Hollywood industry. So
There's making it look like a movie, and then actually making it
as a movie,
like a movie
Yeah.
versus if Devil May Cry had looked like the movie cutscenes the entire time, I think I'd buy that, but I don't want it to be a movie that I watch.
Yeah.
Yeah, but this was because of the limitations of the time, and because of those limitations and early developments, Final Fantasy VII, the cutscenes looked amazing. When today that's beneath
crazy.
standard graphics, and but it's not just that it looked amazing at the time; it was also compelling and well written, and the things today they can look like hyper realistic, like God of War Ragnarok.
Or like
But
the order.
it's absolutely but it's absolutely shitty written. It's repulsively written, and so either it flops right out, or it's carried by the brand, but then quickly forgotten because you just don't want to replay it because
Well,
it's so shit.
Yeah.
Think
Just like Tears of the Kingdom,
Think
you
of
don't want to
the.
replay it because it's so shit.
Was it the third
Oh.
disc of Final Fantasy VII? Remember how they had pre-rendered
I don't remember.
cutscenes? Well,
They
it's
had
kind of hard.
five
Yeah, it's when Cloud was in his wheelchair or whatever. Anyway,
He
there's.
was in a wheelchair.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
and
Yeah,
I never
and,
played Final Fantasy.
it doesn't matter.
he ended up.
What I'm trying
in
to
the
say
live
is
stream,
that there's three
his
kinds of
head-
cutscenes. There's the pre-rendered, which is the high res, different models and everything, looking relatively attractive. There's the
Which is
real
the reason
time.
the game was on 3 discs.
Well, yeah, there's a few. There was
I missed
the real time cutscenes where they just use the in-game engine, and then there was the rendering of the real time, so blocky, 500 sprite polygon Cloud in his wheelchair falling down, and it looks so funny because he's all pointy and all his polygons. He has two eyes and nothing in his
But
mouth.
for the time, that was gripping.
Well, that's the thing. You
Yeah, but
spent
it's also that in that the scenes in that style, they are automatically more funny.
well, they're
Well,
great
yeah,
because you're with the characters for 3 discs. There's 4 discs, the whole thing, and
No, 3
It's like-
discs.
there's only 3. I thought there was 4.
No, I think
Yeah,
you're thinking of
that's-
Final Fantasy VIII.
That's the thing that can make
Okay,
or break
never
it.
So because of that, you don't care because it's the same character to you. You've been playing with this guy for 20, 40 hours, whatever it is, and the production are like, yeah, we can't make another. Why would we have tall proportioned Cloud in a properly sized wheelchair and Tifa falling down with him in this crevice when we can just have cutesy little toy people falling down a hole, which makes more sense because you can't have like a man fall 20 stories in a wheelchair and survive. It doesn't make any sense. So have the cutesy version.
That was actually a decision by Sakaguchi. He wanted the chibi sprites. He has a preference for them, which is
Yes,
why
right.
Final Fantasy IX looks the way it does. And it was another guy, one of the one of the
Fitz 9.
directors who were basically in charge of how Final Fantasy VIII ended up looking.
Oh God, what a change! Holy crap!
Yeah.
But a better change.
Oh, anyway, Gelflings, yay! Okay, anyway, let's keep going.
Models, ugly art design, incredibly shallow and monotonous gameplay, with a tinge of open world checklists wrapped in a story that's so melodramatic, terribly
Oh
paced.
my god!
He's a
This
bit.
guy's amazing. Where's
a-
my pause button?
He's a bit sardonic here, but that's okay.
No. He's while he's saying these things about bad games, he is showing us a game that represents all of these things, which is God of War Norse nonsense. It is shallow, it is repetitive, it is boring. Yes, on point. This is good. He's showing. This is what we always complain about, that people just show random stuff on the screen. He isn't. Good man.
That even the
I'll give him a
Lifetime
like.
network would be embarrassed to air it? Well, here's your answer. When an interactive medium is invaded by an
Yeah, but that's a totally different standard. You can't
And-
compare what someone would do on TV with what a game developer would do.
audience who is ambivalent toward interactivity, the only means of captivating their brain-rot-addled minds is by de-emphasizing game mechanics and prioritizing spectacle. A great example of this are
I agree.
Spectacle.
Is that just means they think they can lower their standards because an audience that likes TV isn't looking for good gameplay?
Yeah, they want. We noticed from some of them like this. I don't remember.
I would
the
argue the
game.
visuals, the camera angles are more important than spectacle.
Well, that's part of that. That is part of what makes the spectacle impactful, feel good. And it's not just that you have a firework; it's how you put the firework into the scene. I think he's implying that.
Which Resident Evil foreskin is this?
Which it's the remake.
Yeah.
Okay.
long Resident Evil fans on social media perpetuating the notion that tank controls are objectively bad and that the remakes are far superior because they quote-unquote fix the dated design elements of the originals. What exactly does dated mean within this context?
Hey, tank controls are awesome.
Well, no. You can't argue that a game from 20 years ago is dated by virtue of being 20 years old and limited by the hardware and capability of
I think it's not exactly, I don't think I'd say disingenuous when you're talking about the OG Resident Evils, which were literally like that because they came out at a time that they were limited by the hardware.
Yeah.
So it is, I think saying dated is accurate. It was not in some sense. But
well, if you can bring
it makes for its own kind of horror genre.
Oh yeah, no, I'm not saying don't play them, but if you don't like them because they're old, and if you want people to come back into them, then sure.
Which is hilarious because people keep remaking old stuff.
They would do a remake of Last of Us 2 like 3 years later. It's like we just came out.
They really did do that, man.
Yeah, but what with fan creations, they are making horror games with that old style of the fixed camera and you having the tank controls, because that gives you completely different.
It's a different vibe.
And completely different abilities in order to set up horror and surprise.
But that is
the game would then actually look like a movie.
Compare that to what they did. I don't know if you guys remember when MGS3 first came out and they had really bad first-person controls. You couldn't move. You just sat like a turret.
Didn't the first game have that too?
And then they came out with another one and they fixed it where you can actually move and aim at the same time. So it depends on the style of game. With Resident Evil, that's part of the point, to have that sort of claustrophobic, you're stuck and you only have limited ammo.
That is kind of also what they did when they changed to the different camera view, was they still kept it close and they still kept stuff confined, but you just had the over the shoulder.
Yeah.
Those first person controls, by the way, were exactly the same in MGS2.
But I agree with him that the de-emphasizing any gameplay for the people who don't actually want to play games but pretend to play games because they think that is the cool and hip thing of the day, to be part of society. And of course the activists who also don't want to play games, they also just want to pretend to claim they have legitimacy. And the companies that are not activists by themselves can then get an excuse for, this is to get the wider audience, because the less gameplay you have in your game, the more people could play it, in quotation marks, leaving out that people who want to play games actually want gameplay.
It's just like, I feel like there's just a market, because gaming's so big, you have a market for every kind of preference like that. You definitely have people who like the streamer game. I think some people refer to it like way. But what you're talking about, just like the movie game, where it's spectacle. And then you have, of course, a market now for people who really want that retro tank control stuff.
Well, there are games now made specifically for streamers in mind, so that the
Yeah,
streamers
that's what I
play
mean.
them.
Well, they canceled
Very strange.
I heard about this was last week. They canceled the remake or supposed remake of Final Fantasy IX, which the art style was still PS2 style, like looking pixels, and I would like to see that in the same style, if not upgraded graphics, but in the same looking style.
I do
I
not
think-
want it to be made like the Final Fantasy VII cutscenes or anything.
No, you don't want
No,
it scaled up. You want it the same scale. You just want it to be just looking sharper. So it's like, all right.
Mhm.
do you think they do that too because they want to try to pump these out as fast as they can?
It depends.
So they make
Yeah.
them walking. So they make them walking glorified cutscene walking sims because remakes are hot.
They did a lot of the pixel games for Final Fantasy. They had the remakes. They had the augmented versions of the pixel. Final Fantasy VI was one of them. I was like, ooh, I'm not going to play that. It looks quite crap. But with the 3D ones, it's a mix of cutscenes. It's a mix of action with the summons and what have you. So maybe they might do it. I don't even know if they're going to come out with it.
What if they remake Lightning Returns
Oh God, no, I wouldn't touch
and
that.
make it an actually good game?
Hey, what about 10-2?
No.
There's all these possibilities. You just got to give it to the right people. I swear.
God,
Hey, don't you
10-2,
want to play more Blitzball?
I actually played 10-2 and I was like, what the
I have it on my shelf.
what am I doing with my life?
I guess ask the question right now. What's a game, like an older game that you think should get a remake?
Oh,
It,
Planescape Torment. I'd love to see that fully 3D. That'd be crazy.
I would
Fully
like
3D?
to see,
I don't know.
All the
I
detail, all the ugly characters, the big zoom-ins of their faces, like talk, because it's a text-based game with lots of dialogue. I want the cutscenes. I want fully fleshed out zoom-ins and dialogue, people acting out the voices, not the one little clip here and there. Get Jennifer Hale back. Get Michael T. Weiss to
she'd do it.
Oh, but Jennifer Hale will do anything. Yeah. She'll be a lesbian clown Nazi. She doesn't care. But Michael T. Weiss was really good. He had like a few clips. Tony J. They'd have to like use his AI, I guess, to make.
No, don't do that.
Well, they have to do something with his voice.
Get an impersonator. There's plenty of those.
Oh yeah, Tony J. Yeah, it's possible, I guess, but you can't really get the depth of Tony J. anymore. Right? It doesn't really match.
Yeah, they got an impersonator for Mako. It's fine.
Yeah, if they can do a fully voiced Planescape Torment, I'd be like, yep, give me.
Okay, that might be interesting.
Oh God,
I'd like to see
I don't think I wanted fully 3D high definition.
Well,
because
in the engine,
it's that much text that it
Look at the Kingmaker games from Alcat. If that's full 3D, but it's all from top down camera angle, so they could use that engine or style like that. And
yeah, but I fear there's two things I fear with that. Number one is I think Sigil would look smaller.
No.
And for the same reason that in this top down pixely version, all of these horrors and the size of Sigil, that's all left to your imagination. You're filling that out.
No,
and all this high definition stuff is taking that away. It's nice where it is,
yeah.
but I want to leave some of those pockets to my imagination and how my sick head colors those books.
I definitely feel that with. I'm playing the Halo Master Chief Collection and playing Halo 2 for the first time, and I've never seen another game do it where they let you in a second pop between the new graphics and the old graphics. Like,
Oh, they did that
in the,
you can
for
do it
Command
with
and
Tomb
Conquer.
Raider.
what?
Does
that.
the Tomb Raider
Oh, they do?
trilogies? Yeah, they
Just
let you
pop
do
back.
that.
Yeah, it's but like in the Master Chief, it's really stark, and there's so many areas where it's like,
Yeah,
you get the sense that all they did was they just made everything brighter.
yeah.
And
The new graphics are
it,
fucking horrible.
and
It
it's
just
really
it
noticeable.
removes a lot of the atmosphere that the original graphics had.
And they did another thing weird where they just make the music louder too, and you can notice that when you're switching, and it's very bizarre. And it's but like
It's
well, I don't like remakes that do that. I think there's a lot of credence to a game that didn't have enough time, had a lot of technical limitations. They had to cut a lot of stuff that gets a remake, and they can do all kinds of new things because
in
the tech now. And
in Halo 2 actually in the Master Chief Collection. If you play with the original graphics, there's a room where Breaking Benjamin's
yes,
blowing away the place.
I just played that
Whereas
level. That was awesome.
if you play with new graphics, they replace the music because they don't have the
license.
they
Are you
don't have the
serious?
rights to play it anymore.
Wow. I didn't notice that because I did the whole
Well,
game with old graphics.
So they hid it behind the new graphics.
All right.
Games don't play like every other third-person narrative Sony-inspired big-budget walking simulator in current year, and because they don't have the patience to meet the games that they're playing on the terms that the developers have laid out, they write them off as relics from a more archaic time. Imagine playing a game of checkers and claiming that it's dated because it doesn't play like chess.
That's not fair.
I would never compare it like that.
Yeah.
Chess is literally a different thing.
Yeah,
It's,
we say that, but
Those are two different things. It's not a good comparison.
This is the kind of thinking, or lack thereof, that has become prominent in the gaming space, and it's literally one of the core reasons that the industry has been in a perpetual state of stagnation.
Rebecca,
oh wait, but there is
that's not-
no wait, there's an example, and that is the God of War games that he showed, because the Norse Nonsense games play vastly different from the Greek God of War games, which are action combo brawlers, while the new one is just this third-person over-the-shoulder thing that is lame. It's
oh my
just lame.
gosh. Now that you mentioned it, I completely forgot a remake for the Greek games was announced.
Yeah, I heard that.
Oh my god,
I-
it's gonna be shit. Another thing, the Woke Bayonetta 3 was also complete change of what the gameplay is into some weird chimera zombie crossover with Astral Chain that didn't work at all. That's a different game, and it's not fun. It's not what it's not what I bought. It's not something that built on the old gameplay. It's something that in an unbalanced fashion replaced it.
I don't think it's the why, or what he's talking about is why the industry is stagnant. It's a weird. That's a very weird thing. It's a very minimalist thing to say.
I think using Resident Evil as an example here is also a little weak.
I can see where he's coming from.
Yeah, but that's one genre. Come on, that's silly.
No, it's not just one genre. I mean, look at, for example, the RTS market. It's dead of innovation. There are no RTSs coming out. None that I know of. None that I hear of. Stormgate was sadly a dud.
Yeah.
And that was playing it safe, even, which may have been the reason why it was a dud.
I don't know if it was playing it safe. It wasn't very high quality to begin with. And it was like a pseudo Kickstarter campaign where you just gave money so they can finish the game and you could get the beta of the first level or something like that.
What I say is about playing it safe is that it was basically just the StarCraft, Warcraft stuff rehashed with other models.
Yeah, but that's fun for people. I liked it. I actually enjoyed.
Yes, it's okay. That's
Yeah.
okay. But there's no innovation there.
I don't know what you can do more in those style. That's the problem. Like how far?
Well, you're not an RTS developer. I don't expect you to know that.
But even those guys are the experts. So I'm like, what more can they do? What do they?
I don't know. It's not the.
I don't know
the
either.
thing
Man,
there
I'm just
is-
saying.
the thing there is that was not made by the whole team. That's the Beatles breaking up, and then everybody makes their own project still. So Hellgate London was a failure.
I love
That's
it when
why
that
many other games were failures by ex-Blizzard developers, which were all interesting and promising and cool looking, but they were all duds. This will only work when the band gets back together.
I'm
Even if
curious
they
who
did.
was. Sorry.
I was going to say, even if the Beatles came back, or the Gold Team, like say we got the same guys from Chrono Trigger or whatever, and they came back and made another game, what would you do? Like what new innovation would there be?
How would I know? How would
Well,
I
that's-
know?
well, this is
They're
what
the amazing creative gods.
No. I mean, you just think for a good 2 minutes how you would make active time battle systems better. And we had that game by a bunch of amateurs based off Chrono Trigger that came out last year, I think. And they would have like timed hits, and you had like the guy was a sword user, the girl was a staff user, and they would be bouncing their attacks off each other, and you would time it with QTEs. It's like, okay, you put QTEs in your active time battle system. Okay, it's cool.
Have a look at this. I think that's the thing. Japan is experimenting with these mechanics all the time. Every Xeno game had different battle systems, but they were all in the same kind of direction. And even the one of the Xenoblade 2 add-on
All right.
was different from the main game, and it was immense fun, but it was still an active battle.
Ginga
battler.
is posting in the chat. This is something I already talked about with a buddy online, and the Mass Effect TV show from Amazon.
I didn't even know it was getting made.
Well, they said that like 15 years ago, but here we are again.
Oh,
Yeah, they're trying to make it less gamey, and I don't know what that means.
well,
It's gonna be Halo.
Who knows?
It's
No one
gonna be a
knows.
Halo show.
No one knows. It doesn't matter.
I
It's
mean,
gonna be the Fallout show.
It'll be crap.
there's no. I
It's
mean,
gonna
I
be
was,
the Wheel of Time show.
I was about to say, of all things that you would need to do that for, considering it was a very narrative choices, dialogue heavy video game. Like, why would you do that? But they still did that with Fallout. So what am I talking
it's
about?
gonna be
Yeah.
it's gonna be Starfleet Academy.
No, that's different. That's a
Well,
whole.
That's a whole can of worms.
Oh.
That's-
Are they going to make the Terrarians black, or is that going to be the Krogans?
Oh God, can you imagine?
Dude, they're gonna have a trans Krogan who wants to have 1,000 children.
Can you imagine
they're gonna take
changing?
Tally's mask off. But
Oh no. The Krogans, like, because that's a big deal how they look. The animatronics or the rigging to make it a practical effect, like that would be cool to pull that off.
The thought just crossed my mind. Why didn't I was gonna say something like they're gonna have you see Tally, but they're gonna do that by putting her in one of those bubbles.
Oh no.
And then I started thinking, why don't the Quarians do that? What?
Well, in the books they do. They do have actually sealed,
they-
clean environments.
And where you can actually see what they look like.
Well, they don't have their suits on. Yeah, exactly. So
What? It's just fucking thing. I don't know. Who would you cast as?
You know what? It doesn't. It wouldn't matter if you let her keep the mask on.
I don't think about it. It's been so long since they announced
The
it.
whole appeal is just.
It's gone.
Well, no, if they did do a show, I'm guessing. I mean, creative people would go to the extent of we'll have whole episodes where it's the guy shepherd, and a completely separate episode where it's the femme shep.
Well, I don't know. That'd be kind of pushing it.
Gonna,
Yeah.
Well, no, if you wanted to do something really like daring,
Crazy.
and
They'll have a
You would-
multiverse plot in Mass Effect
Oh my
where you
God,
have
no.
Femshep and Boyshep
No.
together.
running at the same time. But if they I know if they have to make a show, they're gonna do femme shep
Oh
as
God.
the. But
Give Jennifer Hale another job. Yeah, it's a great idea. Yeah.
just do the twisted
and
metal thing.
they have an all the girls shot.
Oh, fuck. Never mind. Never mind. Let's get off the topic. Let's keep going. Anyway, we got a super chat from Axton Zero. Thank you, sir. They said the remakes will have different combat. Is that the remakes of?
He's talking about God of War.
Oh, the Greek
Oh,
ones.
God.
Okay.
Well, also, I don't think they mean it like that, because there's no way I will eat my computer if they come out. If okay, no, hold me to that. If that comes out and they actually give it the Norse camera, I will eat my computer, because I don't believe for a second that, because if they change the camera like that, they'd have to just remake everything.
They turn it into a walking simulator.
They'd have to completely redo the level design, and I don't think they would go that far, because that's a crazy amount of effort.
And they'll add a narrator who will constantly tell you what to do next and how to solve the puzzle.
I just realised Mass Effect live action. They'd one of the choices they'd make canon is they'd kill off Ashley because she doesn't like aliens.
No, you're right. Genga's right. If they change the camera, it's dead. There's no reason to do it. It'd be like if they suddenly if they suddenly changed the camera in Devil May Cry. It's like it's inherent to the combat and levels and everything. They would never. There's no point in remaking it if you do that.
Anyway, let's get back to the video, because he was talking about some weird shit about why the gaming world is stagnant or something. I don't know.
Well, okay, I say again,
These tourist or normie types, games are consuming activity that they barely engage with for social clout. They don't play games to have fun. They play them in order to turn their minds off and escape from reality. The moment that you introduce them to innovative mechanics, challenging scenarios, or unorthodox control schemes, it shatters their immersion and brings their inadequacies to the surface. Instead of responding to challenges with wonder and excitement, they respond to them with half-baked rationalizations about short-sighted design decisions and dated game mechanics. Gaming discourse often devolves into these surface-level discussions because there is a massive barrier of entry between casual play and mechanical mastery that is incredibly difficult to scale. Overcoming this barrier requires a level of skill and dedication that most people are unwilling to partake in, so is it really any surprise that those of us who talk extensively about the nuances of game design and mechanical complexity are so few and far between? As much as we may be...
Yeah, but it doesn't make you a hardcore gamer. That just means you can articulate what you're trying to talk about. And should hardcore gamers review games all the time? Probably not, because they'll be extremely strict and they'll be nuanced on controls or this or that. That said,
That's a good thing.
Yeah, you still need someone like that, but they have to tone it down. Because I would
say you want a hardcore gamer with enough mental maturity to understand what the hardcore gamer wants and works for him, as well as for what works for the casual and what does the casual need. And is the game that you review made specifically only for hardcore gamers, only for casuals, or does it have both in mind?
This is the design concept of who this game is for. So if you get a hardcore gamer and you put him in front of Serious Sam, they'll be like, this is amazing, this is everything I need, everything's hard, or Quake 3, or any of those really hardcore FPS.
Casuals loved Serious Sam.
Really? Huh.
Yeah. When I was in what was that, 11th grade, and I was in that boarding bullshit thing. Well, the accommodations were nice, kind of. The cook was horrible, but everybody in there. There was the time Serious Sam came out, I believe, and everybody had a pirated copy of that, and there weren't hardcore gamers in there. Like all the kids in that building had gaming PCs because they needed something to do, of course, and they were all playing video games, but they weren't all good. They played a lot, but they weren't all good. If we had set up a LAN, at some point we had set up a local intranet to play against each other, various games, and there were only two people who were actually really good. Like, it didn't matter whether we played an RTS or a shooter. It would then be an asymmetrical game warfare of everybody else against one of the two actually good players, which one of them was me. and that was always a bit kind of frustrating because it's like playing against a bunch of easy AIs. But it's still fun because you play with other people in the room. You play with or building. You play with other humans.
Well,
But the thing with Serious Sam was that everybody loved it because it's just fucking cool.
right. Well, when I talk about a critic as a hardcore gamer, they can be a little too nuanced or focused on the one thing. For example, if I were to criticize Mass Effect as a science fiction, I would be really hard on its lack of cohesion and practicality of how politics would work in the world. And, we have suit recordings, but no one wants to see them, or you can't show them to anyone about this gigantic space race that's going to eat everyone. Like, there's lots of holes that would be like, yeah, this is a big deal that you should be fleshing out. Whereas even if the story sort of sweeps it under the rug at times, you have to pay attention to that. I would still be like, this is a big red flag. No one's paying attention. It's like, well, yeah, but no one cares. It's not a big deal to the game. So it depends on how hard I go on the gameplay and how hard I go on the storytelling elements. So it's, as you said, they should be mature enough to understand that. But I've heard people saying this is an A+ story. It's amazing and blah, blah, blah. And you're like, yeah, it's very good, but it's not perfect. There's all kinds of problems with it. And those get enlarged as the story goes on in the next games. So,
Well, you need somebody specific for criticizing the story. The thing is that with video games, playing it yourself has a large impact on how you experience the story, even if it is played out in a kinetic fashion. Because when you play yourself, getting to the next cutscene feels more that there's more weight to it than when you just watch passively,
like an accomplishment.
well, this is the issue we have with Mass Effect 2, because it was so well liked by everyone in general. It's 10 out of 10. It's the what do they call it? The storytelling of the storytelling or the movie equivalent of Avatar. I think it was some American magazine said that. And you're like, is that a good thing or a bad thing? Because where's their frame of reference that they're looking at Avatar, the Avatar of video games? Why would they say that? What's the point? How does that even translate? Because can you imagine the first time I never even seen Avatar yet when it came out, and that was a technical achievement for some reason. You're thinking, oh, okay, so Mass Effect was a technical achievement because it had voice acting and proper lip syncing. Is that the achievement in Unreal? Is that the big deal? Was it because people could sit down and watch someone else play and be like, hey, that's cool. It's like you're in space, and then all of a sudden there's a soap opera element, and you're blowing away a giant bug, and then you're in your car, and this is fun. It's like, okay, yeah, casual observer would like that, I guess. So is it making the jump from the game to the movie world that people can appreciate? I don't know. Maybe people got into gaming as a result of Mass Effect. Who cares? So I don't know where those people are coming from. But if you were to come in from a hardcore gamer perspective, Mass Effect would be like barely passable. Mediocre even. It's the shooting elements were pretty lame. It had a few good innovations, but other than that, no, it was barely a cover shooter.
Yeah, the innovation I heard when it was while it was coming out from people I knew in school was just it's the dating in space game. It's the
oh yeah,
you can have sex with all these aliens. That was the big innovation people latched on to.
Which every BioWare and Black Isle game had before as well in their respective genres. The thing is, I never expected good gameplay from Mass Effect because that was never the main staple of these types of games, and where the famous line from Shigeru Miyamoto of gameplay is everything falls flat, because for these games the narrative is the main element of the gameplay and everything else is just to help you think and feel that this is a big world that lives in which you can walk around and interact in, which is like if you look at Baldur's Gate 2, giant world, tons of dialogue, tons of story, amazingly well written and then branching and mutually exclusive sub bits and everything. But the actual AD&D gameplay, so that's D&D 2. It's horrible. It's not great, but it works. And that's what those are about. That part works to make you feel you have freedom in this world to walk around and interact with it and cast spells and whatnot. And somehow figure out how the item system works. But the main gameplay is actually similar to all these Japanese novel games, where you walk around, talk with characters, and make dialogue decisions. That's the actual gameplay.
Yeah,
and that's what Mass Effect is as well. Everything else is padding.
Yeah, if you have a game that's narrative focused, where the gameplay and story are completely interwoven, like an RPG, where like it focuses all on these dialogue choices, and the story sucks, then the game sucks. And
yeah, that's why Cyberpunk had such a rough start, because the ambition of that game is to get everything right. The dialogue, role-playing game, mutually exclusive story arc, and sub stuff, and amazingly fun, cool gameplay. And that's almost impossible to pull off, even with the millions. Or at least it is definitely impossible to pull off if you have activists meddling with your design process.
Okay, we're at 5 minutes and a half. Why is 2B doesn't have a skirt on? I've never had that outfit on her before.
That's when you get too much damage. When you get a critical hit, her
really?
skirt explodes.
Really?
You didn't? Yes.
Yeah.
It happened several times.
Never to me.
Her health bar is her
You
clothes.
play to save.
I'm amazing. I guess I'm that good a player. I've never seen this.
You played way too safely.
No,
Time to replay it and be really bad.
I went through the entire game 3 times. I've never seen that.
What? Well, you shouldn't play on easy then.
I'm not playing on easy. What are you talking about? I would have remembered that. Okay, anyway.
Are you sure you weren't just watching someone play no hit run?
No. Wisp specifically said, stop what you're doing, download and buy this game. It's on sale and play it, you moron. I'm like, okay, fine. I'll go do it.
Verbatim.
Yeah.
By the way, you said 3 times. I don't think you played through it 3 times.
There's 3 routes.
3 routes?
Yes.
No, it's a continuous story.
Yes.
So you played through it once.
What?
Yeah.
No, there's 3. Okay, 3 perspectives. You pass the game with one of them, and you pass the game with this. Okay, good.
Then with 9s.
And then A2.
And then the story continues.
Whatever. I played it 3 times. Anyway. I never saw that playing as 2B. Doesn't matter.
Able to wax philosophic on how crucial it was for Yoko Taro to sculpt 2B's ass with a perfect balance of form, function, and aesthetic beauty, this kind of commentary gives us no indication as to the quality of Nier Automata as a game. If gaming truly is an art form, as many of you tend to argue, wouldn't it make sense for us to make sure that those doing the critiquing are at the very least skilled gamers? It is my contention that this has been the driving factor in the rise of the gaming is dead sentiment over the last decade.
That's silly. Gaming is...
I hate that thing.
They did it.
Yeah.
They tried it.
It gave rise to their
They try to
Boogeyman.
cast a spell that reality changes, and somehow everybody just follows along and declares, "Oh, I don't like video games anymore because I need to communism."
Everyone I've heard like unironically run with that gaming is deadline. They just exclusively complain about AAA.
Well, they do try to kill the indie scene as well, but that's basically impossible. It's just that they don't understand that the indie scene is the primordial soup from which everything good will always come, and that's not just in gaming, that's everywhere, because that's where everybody just has ideas and tries to apply them, and some people actually manage that. Most of it, of course, never works. It's like your garage metal band. Most of them are shit. Everybody knows that. But you don't. You know that.
I do, but I don't
And-
want to tell them that.
Yes, you don't, because the garage metal band plays because it's fun, and you just want to see how far you can get, and that's the same case for most of these indie developers. I mean, if you want to count all the started and never finished RPG Maker projects that are out there, probably
Yeah.
more than that out at this point, and there are stars in the galaxy.
Like I can tell you. Like, when did people start saying that? Like back in 21, when I picked up Steam and people kept wanting to just say it over and over again. Like, I can tell you, I can name like 20 games off the top of my head between now and then that are absolutely worth your time and are amazing and don't get
Mhm.
enough attention. And that's another thing that pisses me off about some of the culture war stuff, is because people complain about, oh, gaming sucks now and they're making shit. And it's like, and yet I never hear people promote stuff that should be tried. Like, hey, maybe AAA should be more like this indie game. I never see them promote good stuff or stuff that they think is good. They just always wait around to complain about the next AAA game. And like, there's so much stuff that deserves more attention.
Well, yeah, because we have so much of that now that even the gems that pop up in the indie scene in these tiny studios, you actually need someone to find it because they don't get easy promotion. Everything now basically
that
works like word of mouth because the officially self-declared game review magazine things and sites are not trustworthy. We only have word of mouth. And that, in the end, is now the streamer of your choice.
What was the last indie game that absolutely blew up because of word of mouth? I think
Vampire
was-
Survivors.
yeah, and then I think before that it was Cuphead, because Cuphead was indie, right?
Yeah, and
Oh,
Vampire
and-
Survivors is basically a new genre that or subgenre
No, it's not.
that
new.
is completely insane because of its simplicity.
Stick shooters have been around since the 90s, but he just reinvented it.
Yeah, but because it's passive.
Yeah, you're just moving. There's no buttons to press.
Really?
Yeah. You just walk around and everything shoots automatically.
I would play something like that.
It's interesting.
It's meditative.
Well, it's like a
And
crazy
it's also-
Italian who likes
It melts your
Konami.
brain.
He's like, I like Konami, but I'm Italian. I don't know what to do. Let me just slam all these icons together and make a game out of it. And you're like, oh,
Yeah.
It's also
Yeah.
I mean, like you mentioned earlier, there's never mind.
It's an addictive meditative game that melts your brain, which is it's the worst combination, to be honest.
From what I've seen, it's a bit like
Oh!
so it's a
Oh,
bit like
no.
a stick shooter combined with one of those clicker games.
It's the inversion of Toho. Because
anyway.
in Toho, you basically also automatically shoot, but you have to move to dodge all the crazy attacks, all the crazy patterns. And in Vampire Survivors, it's mainly just hordes of monsters that you hope die before they reach you.
Alrighty,
It's like the anti-skill.
6 minutes in. Let's keep going.
I'm making it.
The standards that games are evaluated by at them, you end up with an industry that can produce nothing but soulless high-budget slop catering to the lowest common denominator wannabe champagne-swigging socialite.
He's getting a little over the top.
Now, I can't say he's exactly wrong, because DSP did cause the game industry to make games specifically for him for a bit. But
Remember Wisp? God of War, the Nordic ones.
yeah, that's
We want to
it.
make a game just for DSP.
If DSP can't, if Darkside Phil can't pass our puzzle, we shouldn't put it in the game.
Yeah, but then you can't put puzzles in your games.
Then you can't make a game.
It's like designing for Dean Takahashi.
What?
And your game can at best be a postcard.
If Darkside Phil can even have a 1% chance of failing this, we can't make this game.
Well, best stop breathing then.
Oh,
if a comatose patient can't beat the game,
A comatose patient will do better than Darkside Phil.
Yeah.
A
Yeah.
Toko-
Yeah.
A
Yeah,
goldfish
would
plays
believe
better than Darkside Phil.
A goldfish beat Pokemon.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Did you know that? Have you seen
yes.
that? Goldfish plays Pokemon? It was great.
And then Darkside Phil can't beat Misty.
Anyway, well, let's go.
Believes that true communism has never been tried before. Ultimately, what I'm communicating here is that if you aren't at the very least good at video games, then your perspectives on the medium are meritless and should be dismissed at face value.
No. There's plenty of room for critics
terrible.
to be. You could be a critic of a thing and not be good, like a basketball player. You could not be good at basketball. You could be an amazing critic of it because you've been watching it so long and you know about it. You don't have to actually be good at competitive Quake play to understand Quake.
Yeah, but the people who excuse communism are the ones that just shit on the games. They're not actually critiquing the games for the games that they are. They're critiquing them for, it's not pushing my agenda. It's not pushing my worldview. It's pushing what I want to get rid of, which is reality.
Yeah. I think his point is just refuted instantly when you look at movies. And you have countless movie critics who are great critics, but when they tried to make a movie, they made dog shit. And then, they're still good critics. But
it's like the art critics that complained about Bob Ross and that he's not teaching art but just technique. And then they themselves said that, I don't teach my students technique. I want them to find their own. And then all these frauds turned out to be money launderers.
Oh. It's a weird fact that lots of people that are good at critiquing stuff can't make the stuff they critique. It's just...
Yeah, that's okay. I mean, I can... well, it's the same with food critics. They can't necessarily cook. That's fine. But you need a passion for the thing in general. And this is what I wanted to say in the beginning. These pseudo critics, which are just activists in disguise, they are not. What was the word? I just had it. Right, they are not grifters, which they call everybody else, because a grifter is somebody who pretends to have an opinion in order to gain something, an opinion that he doesn't have. He wants to get resources from you in some way. These activists are not grifters because they don't pretend to have the opinions that they share about hating the games for not being woke enough or anything, or being too difficult. They actually do believe these things. It's just that these are completely worthless critiques. That's why I call them pseudo-critics.
Well, he's being very general for me to say these things about these people who believe in socialism and say stupid things. It's like you could say stupid things without believing in politics, this or that. So I want to know exactly what he's.
That is true, but we have an epidemic of socialists who critique video games and other media.
I know,
solely based on that. That's been our problem all the past decade or two, and that's what this guy is also basically talking about. He's not talking about anything else.
As we saw, was it the last guy we covered who we didn't know what the hell he was talking about in terms of politics, and he's apparently so right wing that everything right wing is good. You're like, how could that make any sense? So it doesn't really matter where he's coming from, but he's arguing that some of these people are like that. Sure, but everything's so far left now that it doesn't really matter how lefty you are. If you're a bad critic, if you're a bad game player, the rest doesn't really matter. So I don't think that's the problem with gaming, is the weirdos that say stupid things.
Wait, what is not the problem with gaming?
The critics. The critics have always been a problem since early 2000s. So
yes, since the early 2000s, because that's the crap that's been creeping in, and that needs to go.
I don't think social justice was a big deal, at least in the West for me, in my neck of the woods in the early 2000s.
In your neck of the woods, but it has always been a thing in the West for the past century or two or three since the French Revolution, because that's all that is.
I think
That's
after
Social justice is just a euphemism for socialism.
I think
they said that in 100 years ago.
well,
Oh.
I'm specifically looking at like Sarkeesian. When she popped up, you're like, okay, now we have a face. Now we know.
that was
And then
that
it was
like
starting to creep
2014.
into our niche of media.
Yeah,
of
that's where you
escapism.
go. She doesn't belong here. Something's wrong with her.
Was that the vector though? It was just game critics on YouTube, or that then
I mean, it
wrote
was
for
already.
sites.
I mean, it was already there. It had already creeped in everywhere because, well, that's what Sarkeesian and Quinn and all these other malicious hack frauds were
It's like
were building their stuff, their crap on, and
Well, it
had
was-
the
what's-
resources to dip into.
what's the word? It was that typical journalistic corruption of just they had like they just scratched each other's backs. It was
I think it was when the pimple popped
Anyway,
okay.
let us.
and all the pus just got everywhere.
All right, let's get going.
Games or most be evaluated from a
Oh my
gameplay
gosh!
centric
Can I shut that?
should be gatekept from the community with extreme prejudice, as this kind of thinking leads to the faulty conclusions that titles such as The Last of Us, Elden Ring, and Data Soy 2018 are medium-defining masterpieces, which they are not. If a video game features the greatest story ever told in conjunction with terrible gameplay, then for all intents and purposes, it will be a terrible game. However, if a video game features the worst story of all time but has some of the greatest gameplay to ever grace the medium, then it is and always will be a great game. This doesn't mean that there isn't room for discussions about excellent stories, characters, or themes in the realm of video games, but it is to say that these elements are simply window dressing for the core gameplay to shine through. Moving forward, my intention with the analysis side of this YouTube channel is to further flesh out the language that we use to assess video games, and more importantly, to promote the idea of mechanical comprehension. Sure, many of you are wondering what that means, as I said it earlier, so let me flesh out this idea a little further so you can get a feel of what I mean by this. Mechanical comprehension is to gaming what literacy level is to reading. Not to be confused with media literacy, which is the analytical practice used to critique a piece of media from particular ideological frameworks.
Not necessarily, but you're in the right.
No, he's correct, because it is sadly the activists, the socialists, who defined the term. They invented the term media literacy.
I don't
and
use that.
Immediately used it exclusively.
Yeah, but I don't
to
care.
mean in line with the ideology.
I don't care what
What's-
they
And everybody
say.
else
I don't-
believed it's by the naive and interpretation of, oh, that means you understand the content of media.
Yeah, but he just used that because he doesn't like it, right? So it's like I
No.
know.
Well, what's the actual word for it?
The
Then?
definition of literacy or understanding media based off the genre, based off the format of the media, the medium it's in, the time frame it's in, the thing it's shot on, if we're talking about film, or the medium, like say video games in the 90s, is it pre or post PSX? Like there's all these ways to look at media and to describe the narrative within it. And usually we talk about the format being the message itself. So we talk about a video game in like the 80s. So it's usually arcade game style, so sticks and arcade sticks and
Yeah.
Galaga stuff. And then we jump up another level to the 16-bit realm. So it's understanding the media as a timepiece and what it is as a product of the culture of is it home stuff? Is it arcade?
Yeah.
environment?
I think I know what you mean. Saying gaming comprehension is a vastly different context than just media literacy.
There's a lot of criteria to look at per media, exactly, or per format for the media. So, I mean, your Castlevania game is a great example. There's so many iterations and so many platforms and so many ways that it was done, even after Igarashi left and started doing 3D stuff. So, yeah, it's not just a generic understanding of media. It's a specific.
You're just saying that gaming comprehension sounds way too vague a term.
Yeah, I know. Media literacy, you're saying, okay, I understand media and I can understand the literary elements of it in a narrative. You're like, great, okay. The medium tells its own story. The story within the medium tells its own story. Mm-hmm. The control scheme tells its own story. He's like, yeah, sure, you can go that far if you want. People don't really care about that, but it really does come to light when you say, oh, where did the cover shooter come from? Why do we have these mechanics? Why do we have right mouse click to zoom in with your scope in an FPS. Like, why is that the thing? Who did that first? Why was it done? So stuff like that is part of understanding the history of game control, or as a result of new hardware, now we can do certain shading techniques. The cell shading technique, for example, when Wind Waker came out, was only possible with new hardware. So, things like that, and why it's relevant, and why it's good, why it's bad. But yeah, that term.
I would love if the term would be used that way majorly.
Yeah, it's not just, do you understand the games and the stories in the games and the stories in the media and the movies and the camera angles? And what? It's like, no.
No, but the way they use it is do you agree with the ideology? Then you are literate. When you are not politically correct, then you are not media literate. That's basically how it's used.
If you study poetry or any English, really any language, you go to university and you learn the language that your native tongue is, they will give you poetry. They will give you prose. They will give you stuff from all over the world, and you will learn the technical elements of what makes that thing a thing. And that is what as the only thing you should be studying in regards to media, is that specific kind of media and that type. When we talk about objective critique, for example, we're talking about very specific examples with a very specific criteria. And people say, well, it's impossible to have a universal objective criteria. It's like, maybe, I don't know. I don't really care, because I'm looking at this specific thing with this specific tool with this specific criteria and measurements that anyone that knows it, the stuff will have the same argument or have the same vocabulary to speak with. So I don't get into those philosophical debates of what does it mean to be objective. And like, no, be more specific.
It will always be objective within the context of
the thing. How
do humans function?
There's always a limit within the boundary of the format. The movie ends, the book finishes, the game is over. You turn off the power. That's it. That's the format. That's as far as you go. You don't jump into like metaphysics of what it means, because everyone gets depressed. There's this weird study I read about. People got depressed post video game, meaning they finish a game, or they got so invested and they start feeling depressed. And I was like, wow, really?
when they finish the game.
Yeah, it's like,
yeah, I know that.
Really,
I've experienced that many times. I play a game and I
want more.
I finally get to the game over, the actual game over screen, like the game is over, the end.
That's a great feeling.
And it's an emotional thing, because the story's over.
Unless you played Mass Effect 3, then you hate the world and you want to burn it.
That's different.
and you realize this isn't worth my time. And then
I want to burn the world in different colors.
With green and blues. And, yeah, exactly.
And I want to pay for it. I want to pay for an extra color.
When I was a little Wisp, I had finished Super Mario Land for the first time, beat Tatanga, found rescued the princess, and then the credits rolled, and I was sad and I cried.
Really?
Because the game was over. It was very emotional. Like the same happened with Super Mario World and Yoshi's Island.
Wow, Nintendo really got to you.
Well,
it's not really because of the story. It's really because all this the adventure, the struggle is over, and it's gone.
You're invested, and then you reach the ending. It's over.
Yeah, and
so
everything
you've
every
invested
time.
In
Yeah,
just come to an end.
And yes, I can replay the game, but I will just go to places I already knew. The actual quest is done. The fight is over. It's everything now is just a retreading of the path, a re-experience, a rerun. That's not the same as all the tension that you have before you have finished the final quest.
Okay, I mean, some people get too involved in certain things and they disconnect and it hurts. I could see that. Yeah.
Have you the ending of Secret of Mana? That is an emotional thing, even though it's relatively little.
Yeah, but it wasn't depressing. Like when I finished Chrono Trigger,
I think
cathartic.
Maybe depressing is depressing is the wrong word they use there.
No, they specifically use depression. Yeah.
Well, and that's retarded.
Well, that's what I mean.
You will feel
This is
you will feel a tug on your heart.
Yeah, but I mean, it wasn't like a form of, oh my God, I did this and I can't do it, and I won't have the same experience again. It's like, sure, you can just go back and play it.
No, it's not a conscious thought, but it's a whole thing of this long journey I've been on.
Well, it is conscious then.
It's now over.
Yeah, but you still tell the guy who's evaluating you, like, what did you go through? Oh, I went this, I did that. This is great, blah, blah, blah. So they're very well aware of what they're going through, and they explained it to the...
And then I'm sad. There's I think rather what happens is it's an emotional release, a decompression.
Yes, that's a natural... It's
not
any good media does. It has the cathartic element that should happen at the end of any story, which is basic Aristotle, but that's not every good media will do that to you. So when you get the good media, like I say, the ending of, in your case, Secret of Mana, you should feel good. You should feel like, oh, wow, what a journey. That was amazing. Not because Secret of Mana, it's not...
What? The ending is extremely... What is even the word? Somber?
Like
the kobold girl is dead. She's a ghost now. Your little mana dragon, Flammy, or what is it in English? Luffy, Fluffy,
yeah, Flammy.
Yep. He's gone. Like, and you don't know, is he dead? Did he turn into the mana dragon and you killed him? Because you had to? Like, what? There's all these things in the world, and it's all this. It's not a plain happy ending.
Yeah, it is.
The boy and the girl, they just go home, and it's this little winter.
Yeah, the sprite goes
feeling.
away. I know that. I remember that. I think the mana tree
is dead.
It goes away, like something like that.
Mana tree's the mana tree, which was your mother. So your mom turned into the mana tree, which was destroyed, burned down by the mana fortress. Like that's gone. You're a super orphan now.
Okay.
And you didn't even get together with the girl because she's a bitch.
Oh.
Well, the story of what happened with Secret of Mana's development. So yeah,
I don't.
Doesn't matter.
Okay. Well, we're not going to get into that, but it is a bittersweet ending. But it's not to the point of like depression. Okay.
Yeah, no. Yeah. That's what I mean. It's not depression you have at the end, because depression there would be an ongoing thing. But you will feel down for the rest of the day, and you just sit there and like you process it.
Right.
I know when I got depression at the end of the video game, and I was playing an Ubisoft game, because then I had to sit through 15 minutes of credits.
Yeah.
And I was really, that's when I hit depression.
That's very understandable.
Like, I'll never forget when that happened, and it was the first noticeable time, because I'm a gamer, I play lots of games, can skip every single credit sequence of everything I've ever played. Then I played Assassin's Creed for the first time. Nope. But I played Assassin's Creed for the first time, and I can't skip these 20-minute credits. I can't skip it. I don't even know what would happen if I turned the game off, so I just watched the whole thing, and they forced me. And
Well, as I said, I cried during the ending of the first time I passed Chrono Trigger. That was the music by Yasunori Mitsuda, and it was To Faraway Times, and it was the music box theme played with the bell theme of the fair, and you're watching the fireworks, and this is stupid because you're holding this giant collection of balloons, and you've got this girl on your arm with the other. You're just like flying in the air for minutes and minutes. You're like, wow, this guy's got an amazing grip on both. Yeah, but it's so beautiful that he's finally with her.
Well, crying doesn't mean depression. Crying can be a healthy. You can have a healthy cathartic cry.
It's a cathartic, happy ending, and it's so romantic without being like soppy, because the story is not a romantic story. There's like one or two elements of romance in there, and this is one of them. So it's like, oh, this is so sweet. This is like this is where they met, and you could see the epoch flying across the in the horizon. Oh, someone there we are. There we go. And it's just so well done. And the music, and it's rotating around. And they zoom out, and they see the fair on the world map. And there's the fireworks coming up with the Mode 7 graphics. And there's little Chrono and Marl, and they got the stupid balloons. He's like, I grip.
You know, I tear up because it's like I'm at the ending, and it's like, man, I love this game, and they didn't make another one after this.
Well, yeah,
there's that, but there's like the only game where I like cried, or like legitimately kind of cried, because it was just a really sad ending. Like that's one time.
So from judging from that, and not knowing the details of the study you read, but what you summarized about it, I would have a guess that the choice of words that they used for analysis was bad. Because depression, in the clinical sense, is not what we feel when the game is over. We have another set of emotions that are not happy, but they are not negative in the sense that, oh my god, I want to end myself. Like, look at anyone who's not smart, who's played through Nier Automata. Millions of people who played that, assuming it was millions. Man, yeah.
No, I just remembered something because he posted the article. I said BioShock has an ending. I did tear up.
Dude, in the final ending of Nier Automata, I bawled my eyes out during the credits.
Really?
I just couldn't anymore.
Wow.
That was the setup for that was, oh my god.
I still have not.
Does it?
The music's amazing. I still have not analyzed that game, but what I saw, I was just like, this is too convoluted for me to get any emotional reaction out of me.
I think it's funny just the term post-game depression.
I know it's a weird term, but I know what they mean by it. Anyway,
I know what you mean, but it still makes me think of I just beat Tetris.
Yeah, I know.
Sad. I can't go on.
Mario Brothers has been done. Oh.
They're never gonna make a Tetris 2. What's the point of living?
All right.
Is both the conceptual and tactile. Someone with high mechanical comprehension doesn't only intellectually understand the nuances of a game and its mechanics, they can also performatively engage with them at an expert level of play. High-level play will naturally look different on a game-by-game basis, but broadly speaking, these standards are defined by the developers themselves through scoring systems, difficulty modifiers, challenge modes, achievement lists, etc.
That's not every game does high-level play. That's not.
No, but they can add it in as even harder difficulties.
But that's
or
just
as post-game content.
That's just getting better at the basics, meaning whatever mechanics they set up in the first tutorial that they expand upon, that the players know how to master or get better at. Games are not necessarily of that design, and not every game can give that level of mechanics anyway. So
I think that's part of the competence level of developers. I don't mean to say that if you didn't put that in your game that you were incompetent. It just means that you are on an earlier level of the complement of the competence to implement such things, to build on such systems. Because to design extra more difficult challenges that still feel like they are part of the game world, immersive, and not, oh, it's this other gamey thing that's set up. That is the what's the English word for cure? That's the
an exploit,
cherry on top. Well, but other than that, people solve that through more difficult post-game content with actual gamified challenges.
Maybe,
for example, my one of my go-to examples that's not Bayonetta, Xenoblade 2. The entire game is super easy. After that, you get the option to modify your difficulty on preset levels, as well as a complete free range of sliders that you can adapt as you wish. And there's a post-game challenge mode that is actually difficult, for which you then need to understand the actual battle system, which for most of the game you don't need to.
These are mostly real-time style games with a lot of high action elements that you have to chain elements together of gameplay controls, whereas strategy games or turn-based stuff is, they show you how things work. They show you how defense works, how attack works, what certain forms of manipulation, debuffing, buffing, etc. happens. So that's just the basics of a strategy game. So I don't know if that goes any further. You could argue games like gacha games have all these types of classes of different units you could randomly get. Like, here's a new version of healing, here's a new version of attacking, and you're like, oh, okay, that changes the game. Like when League of Legends had the reload mechanic. They redid everyone who has a gun. We got to change how the gun works because Jin came out. All right, he has 4 bullets. Everyone else has, infinite bullets. We got to change that. So stuff like that they had to redo, all because they wanted to make the thing consistent and make it fair and make it playable. So that's different in competitive games, where it's very important to have mechanics in Twitch-style gameplay, whereas turn-based or strategy games, you don't do that.
In single-player games, the mechanics are as important when you want to go beyond just.
But not all games.
I just want a base gameplay to get through a story in an interactive fashion.
Like, there's really no. I can think of any mechanics in Mass Effect that really you're min-maxing. Maybe you're modifying a weapon to do more of this or faster that. But other than that, there's really no strategy. It's just maybe the tactics of a Vanguard is a bit more different because you're charging in, you're getting really violent and opening yourself up, whereas everything else is behind cover. So
yeah, and that I think Mass Effect could have played around more with that because all the classes are how do I kill enemy?
Well, they did in the second game with Vanguard and the Sentinel, because the Sentinel was a walking tank, where he became a defensive combat, whereas you go up to someone, your shield blows up, and it actually damages things, so you could actually use that as a technique. But they changed that in the third game. They nerfed it, so it just went back to boring, and then they nerfed Vanguard. Well, they made Vanguard a bit more dynamic, but they still nerfed it, and it went back to cover shooting.
Which one's the combination of the Adept and the Engineer?
The Sentinel.
Yeah. That one you could really fuck around with enemies even in the first game. You could mess about with them debuffs and a lot of damage.
The first game they had the prestige classes where you could be like a healer. If you were a Sentinel, you could go into that healing route, which I put Caden into just because he's Caden, and it was nice. It was interesting, but it's all based off metagel, and you only have limited ways of healing.
The question with games like Mass Effect, single-player games, is how much fun can playing the healer really be when you have to rely on your NPC companions to do the hard work?
It depends, because
it depends on the game.
Because the first game you take out Ashley and Rex, and they're invincible, and they have the barrier skill, and they're walking tanks, and they shoot really fast, and you just sit behind cover and let them do all the work. So you don't really need to heal them. I mean, it's a good backup, but you don't really have to. In the second game, they tried to balance things out, and they added the Vanguard, which was the great innovation. So I guess you could argue the Interceptor, or not the Interceptor, the Garrus class. What was he called? The Infiltrator.
The Garrus class.
The Infiltrator. You can go invisible, and you could move. You could change your cover. Ooh, you could swap around cover, and people have to find you where you are. So
was the Vanguard a class in the original? Yeah, I see it right here. Yeah.
There wasn't much special differences between that. Soldier got a freaking shock rocket, whatever you call it.
So yeah, it was the biotic soldier.
Well, biotics in the first game were overpowered because they would go through shields, right? And people realized that was a bit too overpowered, and they nerfed the shit out of it. And you're like, okay. And instead of making it work within the lore of like, okay, maybe it can't go through biotic barriers, but it can go through normal barriers, instead of doing something like that makes more sense, they just nerfed it entirely. And they nerfed guns, and they nerfed all kinds of other shit. Like, they changed how charging works. They changed, obviously, the ammo types and
But yeah, if I remember correctly,
all the heavy weapon bullshit. Yeah, all this nonsense. They have to make it balanced. And, oh god, it's so silly.
Remember correctly, Rex was a Vanguard.
Yep.
Aiden was a Sentinel.
Yep. So was Miranda. Yeah. And that's
No,
another
in
thing.
the first game.
The passives with Miranda in the second game, she has all these passives for people. So it's like, okay, you get Miranda, everyone's going to do much better because she has this passive weapon buff or whatever it was. You're like, okay, and she's a tech and she's a biotic, so it's like she has a little bit of everything. But you know, compared to Shepard as a Sentinel, he's a freaking tank. Like, nothing can stop him. You beef him up, and his shield is so strong. It's a weapon as well. And you could freeze things. You could heat things on. Like, you light people up. You could overload stuff. It was incredible. And then they nerfed it in the third game. Anyway.
Etc. Let's use stylish action games as an example to really drive this point home.
You have to.
And the realm of play often involves the ability to complete the campaign on the highest difficulties while achieving perfect ranks across all missions. This would be the minimum level of comprehension necessary to thoroughly critique these kinds of games, yet there are levels of mechanical comprehension.
You don't need the highest level of difficulty. Why? That's silly.
Only if the game is actually designed with that in mind. Then for the gameplay part, that is necessary. For the story part, it isn't. Yes, it is.
You don't need a high level of difficulty to play the game. It's silly.
On the absolute highest difficulty?
As I said, what I said was, when the game is designed with that in mind. I'm not talking about bullshit like Mass Effect, where higher difficulty just means
how about Iron Man mode in Kingmaker games, or
how about
New
Dante
Vegas?
Must Die?
Yeah,
Devil May Cry.
Yes, exactly. That's what I'm getting. That's exactly
you
what I'm
want
getting at. Cole.
One life,
because my reference for that is Infinite Ultimate Climax in Bayonetta, which is that the game is designed to when you play it for the gameplay after you've been through the story, the game unlocks hard mode, and after hard mode it unlocks ultra hard mode, which is Infinite Ultimate Climax, and that's where you have witch time deactivated, and you have to really learn the game. You have to do the perfect dodges constantly. You have to do dodge offset. All of things that are nice mechanics that the game invented and brings into the game and makes it fun. But you don't need to master really in order to get through it up until that difficulty level. And that's when the game really becomes this dance that it wants it to be. Of course, only a fraction of the players will play that.
Yeah, but
this is what the developers also had in mind with, we want to make the game worthwhile for people who get that good.
That's great, and I'm happy that people can get that level of skill and enjoy it even more. But that doesn't mean you need to have the highest level of difficulty to understand the game. That's silly. You can
in general, yes, I would say that is wrong, because high difficulties are often badly designed, and that's so what you need is an understanding of the difficulty that the developers intended you to play it on.
That's fine.
Which in the past was called normal, and today is hard because we have difficulty inflation, deflation, I don't know which way, where normal is effectively easy now, and hard is normal, so that all the casuals can tell themselves, oh, I played the game on normal or even hard, when really that was just normal.
All right, but if you were to critique a game, you don't need to actually be that good, because the game is still being played in all of its entirety, just with the enemies being less difficult to fight with, right? So
what?
Well, What are the big differences? Do you know the big differences between one level difficulty of hard and then like the step up from there? It's the enemies are harder to kill because they have more health. They do more damage. You have less health or you do less damage. It's one of the two.
That's just that's just the basic bad bullet sponge design
That's
thing. That's
numerical
just
difficulty.
that's just basic garbage. A good difficulty increase can also increase the speed of the game, and Bayonetta, that is obvious, because if you go back down to normal from Infinite Ultimate, you will just get hit all the time because the enemies, the sound cues are still at the same point, but the attacks come way later.
Well, this
because
is what
it's so slow.
This is what the
You
illusion of difficulty is in most
But
games.
that is
The
one part.
AI
the
is
other
the
part
same.
is that higher level difficulty will not just be faster; it will also use different moves that different abilities that were not activated on lower difficulty levels. That is another thing where you get new enemies into the game. That's the bloody first Kirby game did that. After you played through, you got the cheat code basically shown on the screen of this is how you activate hard mode. Then you could play Kirby's Dream Land on the Game Boy in hard mode, and it would have different enemies that had different movement patterns. The game was way harder. The bosses suddenly had new abilities and movesets. It was amazing. But you do not need to have played that hard mode in order to critique Kirby's Dream Land.
Yes, so you can be knowledgeable.
I've got two examples of how harder difficulties change games as well. One of them is Doom, where there's more enemies in the level, and on the hardest difficulty they actually revive. The other one being Halo, where on the higher difficulties the enemies get more and more aggressive. So
Well, I compare
you can change the number of enemies and how aggressive the AI is.
Yeah,
as well as stealth games, how easily detected you are.
Oh, that's cool. I compare it to Kingmaker or Wrath of the Righteous, where you have this giant screen of the level of difficulty, and there's like 30 controls to tweak. And you could argue if you do that, there's all the statistical elements and this or that. This spell casting is faster for enemies, etc. But you're still playing the Pathfinder rule set just with a more competent opponent. So that doesn't really change much aside from that he's doing things more efficiently than they wouldn't have before. They'll have higher hit points, higher shields, whatever. So you can still critique the game. It'll just be a lot faster to get through because the difficulty is easier. So not every game will have new AI. And I saw that with the Devil May Cry, because I kept dying one time. The game tells me you suck. Turn off.
Well, that's
because you
thing.
do.
That's the
Would you like to play on easy automatic?
Exactly. And I still suck. I still couldn't do it. I was like, what the fuck? So the AI is one thing. If it goes up in one direction, it has to go down in the opposite direction. It didn't. So,
There's a thing called bullshit, and then there's a thing called fairness.
Yeah.
Anyway,
for this,
you don't. The main issue is you don't need to be like the ultimate amazing hardcore player to critique the game. That's silly.
I mean, I'm imagining if someone told me I can't be critical of Halo if I didn't beat it on Legendary.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, oh my god.
You don't know, man, how hard it is. Like, what are you talking about?
Okay, I
was
would
in
say,
the trenches.
Hey, I would say one thing. If that was the bar for games journalists, we would be saved from a lot
would
of...
We'd have that would call like 80% of all.
We would have
80?
the most esoteric review of like some super nerd like just going on and on about FPS numbers.
We would have the anti-Dean Takahashi, the person
He would be
Eddie.
so competent. Everyone would be like, "What the hell is this guy even talking? What are these acronyms?"
I would prefer there only being 5 people on the planet critiquing video games, and it would be only such people. I would prefer that over what we currently have.
You would have people who are like, I just beat the new Dark Souls. This is
Yeah,
2 out of 5.
You would
too
have
easy.
Exactly. You would have like this whole other set of like websites, like this is the hardcore Mario players, the hardcore Kirby players. And you have like the normie, just we like Nintendo sites, and it would be like, oh, okay,
Harmon Smith.
Well, whatever. I don't know.
Or
it's like, oh, this is how you exploit the game, and this is how you use this. Like all these other, like there's the actual people who exploit Metroid Prime to this day, or Castlevania, or all these other old school games because that's what they like doing. They're not experts at playing the game. I mean, they probably are the normal way. They're trying to find the tweaks and the things between the holes in the or the gaps rather in the game that they can exploit to become, crank up their stats or whatever the jump a level here does. So that's a whole other thing as well. And I don't think you need to be those kind of guys to understand or to criticize a game in that capacity. That's
an interesting example about all this is happening right now in the StarCraft 2 scene, where crazy players like you, Thermal, are playing the campaign for the first time. Like people who have played this game for, I don't know, it's almost 20 years old at this point, I think. And with Wings of Liberty. And they've never even played the Wings of Liberty campaign. They're absolutely insane people in the multiplayer. And it's so baffling to see. I mean, it's nice that they finally do that. Because you think like, oh, isn't that what everybody does? Isn't that what most people do that play these games? No, these people went right into the multiplayer. They can tell you every nook and cranny about it, but they have absolutely no clue about the story and the world, and that is kind of fascinating.
All right, let's keep going.
Mention the set by the developers, which are defined by further and further mastery over the game mechanics. This can manifest in self-imposed challenges such as no damage, speedruns, score attacks, and the like, where players push the established rules of the game far beyond their intended limits, creating systems within systems that allow for greater player expression than was initially intended by the developers. It is crucial that those placed into influential industry positions must exist at a level of comprehension somewhere between these two metrics, where they are skilled enough to have completed a title's most difficult developer-defined challenges, but are also curious enough to experiment with some of the more arduous community-established challenges. In addition to a high level of mechanical...
I think it's ridiculous to put gaming comprehension to include what speedrunners do under that.
Yeah, that's
because speedrunners do the most ludicrous crap that has nothing to do with enjoyment of the game.
Yeah, that's its own world entirely. Don't bother with that. And oh my god, I've never noticed the wood paneling on the floor there. Imagine being the poor maid who has to dust that.
Oh. I thought you were going to say I never noticed how huge Chris is compared to the door.
No, that's. Look, this is obviously a Japanese mansion, and he is European.
That's
just normal.
Sure.
But these cubes on the bottom there.
Yeah.
Imagine being the poor maid who has to clean that.
Yeah. Imagine the
and
wood,
all the little toes that get stubbed there.
Yeah, the carpenter had to do. Like, you want me to do what with the bottom of the? You want little crevices? Why would you want that? It looks cool.
So you hit your head especially hard when the monster knocks you over.
Oh yeah.
To be fair, this was the Spencer Mansion, and it had lots of stuff that made no sense from it.
All the Resident Evil places are stupid escape rooms
things.
And
who had
get a statuette and put it into a hole to open a door. What the fuck would you do that?
I just like they do that in every game. It's like, hey, here's one police report in Resident Evil 2 that explains why this station makes no sense.
Yeah.
He basically hired an architect to build the mansion to his specifications, and he basically wanted it to be a fucked up labyrinth that messes with your mind.
Yeah.
Well, okay, that explains the woods panel stuff on the floor. Yes, definitely. That messes with my mind.
He is tall.
I was going to say, a super rich, eccentric billionaire is like, I want like a secret room, and then in that room, I want a tunnel that connects to another secret room, and it pops up in the kitchen where the fridge is. It's like I pop out of the fridge. Like, what are you? Why would you have a door on the back of a fridge? Like, what?
Wait, Smart, you would not want that.
Well, if you're a billionaire, you want stupid things, I admit, but I don't think I'd ever personally get that.
No, you would. Everybody wants stupid shit, but if you're a millionaire, you can actually afford to pay people to realize it for you.
Yeah, I'm never gonna get there, thankfully. So.
The same with evil eugenics plans, by the way.
Anyway, we're gonna make a moon base one of these days. That'll be enough. Anyway, let's keep going.
Yeah, but not with NASA and Microsoft Outlook.
Yeah, the Microsoft
Not with my
suite.
AI.
Imagine your moon base running on Windows 365.
Okay, the whole suite. Yeah, that'd be awesome.
It will then lock you out when it loses contact to Earth and stop producing oxygen.
You need to resubscribe your subscription so you can pay for another year. Oh, sorry, your
What will randomly
ran
decide after the update that you pirated the copy and shut down your moon base?
Anyway,
Mechanical. Critics must also have an extensive knowledge of games that they're reviewing so as to thoroughly flesh out their positions and
okay, so he has to be a genre expert. That I agree with. You have to know other stuff that you compare it to, so you have a baseline to go, okay, I'm looking at Mario, I'm looking at Yoshi, I'm looking at Sonic. All right, they're platformers. We get it.
provide their with a more accurate understanding of the strengths and weaknesses of games that they're evaluating, but also the entire genre that said games may or may not fall into. It is of the utmost importance for the health of the industry that the voices who drive it forward have the capacity to understand these works at a high level of competency.
Yeah, but then you want the developers to have even better understanding, which is why
I was
going
to say driving it forward, and he thinks it's just critics driving it forward.
Critics are after the fact. After the fact something is made, the developer went, I like Resident Evil survival horror genre, I'm going to make my own. I don't like tank controls. We have the technology to do better. They did better. Good for us. Yay.
To be honest, I think it's safer to say streamers have far more influence than critics at these. Because
these days, yes. Yeah.
Even the speedrunners. It's like some of these games definitely keep speedrunners in mind, but
yeah, I guess.
And accessibility in the form of mechanical dilution become commonplace as the last 12 to 15 years has demonstrated. Paradoxically, the rise of these incompetent media literacy types can be traced back to the gaming industry's obsession with proving that games are a viable art form. This unwavering, desperate need for gamers to garner a sense of validation from the eyes of the intelligentsia has sucked the soul out of what was once a medium where innovation, experimentation, and meritocracy reigned supreme. Nevertheless, whenever you ask them to define the artistry of video games, they always end up pointing to everything outside of the core gameplay, which should give you an indication as to the true answer to this question. This is the reason that games that are heralded for their artistic qualities tend to be titles that most effectively replicate film and literature whilst completely ignoring player agency.
Yeah, what game is that?
I really don't know.
Interactivity and mechanical complexity. I find it incredibly poetic that the industry's obsession with catering to these tourists has both literally and figuratively bankrupted them. The budgets of most AAA games has inflated to a level that cannot be sustained in the long run, and has led to nothing but broken, half-finished, and disappointing titles that can barely keep anyone's attention outside of a single news cycle. When devs are placing all of their efforts into realistically rendering the reflections of your lead-strewn character's rainbow-colored pubic hairs, then you shouldn't be surprised when the overall experience turns out to be a buggy mess.
What the fuck?
Yeah,
that is the actual broken rainbow of the anal sex. It's not an actual rainbow, it's the political rainbow.
Well, if
Ginga, explain.
It's an immortal game.
Yeah, that's Marvel Cosmic
Cosmic Anal Sex?
I don't know what this is.
Yes, that's a fantastic title.
No. Anyway, yeah, it's cartoony and it looks relatively safe. There's no mention of anal sex. Thank you.
Not my storm.
That's what this rainbow, the 6-colored rainbow, stands for.
No, this is a freaking Norse mythology. Don't worry.
It's not Norse. The Norse mythology rainbow does not have 6 colors.
Oh, I'm sorry. 7?
Yes, it's a proper
Norse
rainbow.
It's
Jesus.
supposed coverage.
Anyway.
Called the Bifrost.
If developers were to once again focus on creating fun, engaging, and replayable video games, instead of focusing on creating realistically rendered, mind-numbing, and automated walking simulators, budgets won't need to be as inflated, teams won't need to be as massive, development time won't need to be as protracted.
Yeah, but there's nothing wrong with making realistic games. What's the like?
Well, he said before the problem with the budgets is to make it realistic. Then he's also said the real problem is they come out buggy and unfinished.
Yeah,
so which is like
That's always a problem.
Look at Crimson Desert. That game's buggy as hell. It's gigantic and it's focused on gameplay. It should be the perfect thing for him.
when did this come out?
Crimson Desert?
No, when did the video come out?
This came out last month.
Oh, okay, maybe he did.
You should have been showing Crimson. Like that would have been argument number 1. Here's a game that doesn't give a shit about story, and we have like everything, and then like 5 kitchen sinks from like every conceivable.
Also,
kitchen.
I'm not even sure how much credence you can give. If I think it would need to be a case by case basis of the game came out a broken mess and that's why it failed, because you have countless games that came out buggy and were loved and ultimately successful in a way because they just turned a profit anyway because people were like, this is good, let's wait. It got patched, I'll play it.
Well, the other example is games that are still loved because they were sleeper hits or whatever, and they didn't make their money. And like New Vegas was an example, Planescape Torment, all these very niche titles at the time.
Like every Thief game was a flop, but that's like the most loved stealth game out there.
The best stealth out there, exactly. So it's very niche, and they were so niche that no one cared. And maybe the cover art or the box didn't attract people or whatever the marketing was. So yeah, no, it's not a. You simply don't know. And back then, there wasn't enough marketing and media to tell you that this was a good game or this was a game like this. And in some cases, like even with Planescape, I was not interested in it. It looked gross. The art didn't impress me. There was maybe a 20-second trailer, I think. There might have been. And it was like, this is weird.
Weird and ugly.
Yeah. And so I never got into it. And then like a year later, like, oh, this is incredible. You should check it out. Like, oh, okay. Anyway.
To sell 4 bajillion copies in order. Most of the bottom feeders in prominent media positions are only there because they didn't have the intelligence, talent, or discipline to be successful in any other industries. The gaming industry has become a dumping ground for failed screenwriters, actors, and...
This is a lot of hyperbole. I don't know what he's talking about.
No, it's true.
Yeah, but he's not giving me an example. He's just saying, well, these are failed screenwriters. Like, who? Who's the failed screenwriter?
Okay, Okay, you want the specific examples?
I want his...
I can understand that, yes. The thing is, we've seen that for the past 10 years, where all the Tumblr rights went into all these game studios.
That's Canada.
They produce all this shit. It's not just Canada.
Okay, France.
It's everywhere.
France.
The French.
Yeah. It's Canada, it's France, it's Germany, it's the US. It's everywhere. It's Paradox. It's in the North countries.
I just don't like the hyperbole or the name calling. Just give me examples. Here's the example.
CD Projekt Red had that fucking problem.
That's fine. Give me names.
Which is Poland.
I want exact games. Like CD Projekt Red's The Witcher 3 had this kind of guy, and he did this, and that was bad. Like, okay.
Wait, is that an example of a game that was buggy and flopped, or is that just an example of a game bad?
With a bad developer, designer, art critic, whatever. I don't care. Just give me the example. I don't want to just paint everyone with a broad brush saying they all suck.
Well, my example is Neil Druckmann. That's kind of...
that's fine, but he has to say that. He has to say Neil Druckmann's an ass. Like, okay.
Neil Druckmann took this ship and set on course
exactly.
to iceberg.
That's what I want. Give me a name.
It's really hard to narrow it down.
Yeah, exactly. Okay.
Or rampant adulation with subpar discipline. The supposed auteurs of the craft, such as Neil Cuckman or Hideo Kojima,
Okay.
Oh,
exhibit
okay.
a level
What the fuck?
Yeah, but say Neil Druckmann. Don't call him names. You're just say the name.
I didn't. I had no idea he'd say that. I
If you're gonna be proper, just say the name and show the example. Don't say this guy's a loser. His name is Leo the Jerk Druckmann or whatever, and here's his shitty game. No.
also please don't say, "Oh, and I could do it better than he." Oh,
Well,
don't say that.
I mean that's
So-
pushing it even further. Be specific, be formal, and then show the example, and then I can make my decision whether he's a jerk or not. I don't want to play around with emotional context of, I don't know, this gentleman's 20, 30 years old, whatever. Doesn't like Druckmann, I get it.
of writing prowess reserved only for the most prestigious hallowed halls of a inner-city public middle school writers club. The fact that their stories are considered the epitome of excellent narratives within the medium.
What is
heck is this
this?
game?
Yeah, what is this? Final
Dragon?
Fight in 3D?
What?
Yeah, maybe Double Dragon. Yeah, the remake. Yeah.
As it is hilarious, especially when particularly her work on the Legacy of Kain games is overlooked and mostly ignored. Hell, even
Any-
Sonic
Is
the
it
Hedgehog on
really
Sega Genesis.
overlooked?
They came out with a sequel just last week, and it's crap. So I don't know if it's overlooked or not.
Well,
Sequel to Legacy?
Ginga played it, and he said he had the Bayonetta 3 moment all over again.
Uh-oh.
Oh, that doesn't sound good at all.
Yeah, and apparently it got extremely negative responses on Steam because a Legacy of Kain game is basically only played by Legacy of Kain fans, and they hate it.
Well, it's a side
all
scroller
throughout.
made by a side-scrolling
It's
company.
not because of the genre.
Well,
It is kind of a massive left turn of just, man, we wanted a sequel so long to the main series. Here's a completely different thing. It's-
yeah, and what I mean
Yeah,
by
I know I'm talking by proxy here, but what Ginga can tell you that next time in more detail. From what I got from him was that it messes up the story,
That's what
just as all the other retroactive story rewrite bullshit things do.
that's what I'm implying when you look at the developer or the publisher. Where I think they're the same thing. The games they make are not narrative focused. They're all side-scrolling action, whatever. And for them to jump into a story as complex as Legacy of Kain, you have to know what the hell you're doing.
I mean, yeah, I mean,
Why would
mean-
you do side-scrolling beat 'em up for Legacy of Kain?
it's such a weird. It's such a weird.
It's like
It's
asking
platform,
Capcom to make it. It's like, wait a second, how do you? Who on Capcom's writing team would know how to do the time travel plots and immortal vampires trying to
I
save
don't think
the
it's
world?
crazy to say Legacy of Kain has one of the most complex stories in any video game.
Probably video game
it-
history. Do you know one that is more that?
Maybe trying to get all the lore in Dark Souls coherently together. That might be more complex, but
Yeah, but I think that's just bigger. I think that's just bigger because you
more
can
lore,
actually
yeah.
do that. Because
I
but Legacy of Kain
think
is that's as you say, it's a time travel plot that unfolds across several games, and that is Bayonetta 1 and 2 do that, but they kind of pull it off because they keep it relatively simple with a double loop.
Well, it's
Legacy of Kain is another beast.
it's difficult to do time travel in general, and for that to even make because it doesn't make sense halfway through. I'm like, what is going on? And then you finally get to the end, and you're like, oh, that makes finally. I was waiting for this to come together somehow, and it did. And you're like, this is impressive.
I feel like, yeah,
Yeah, it's really fulfilling. Like, thank you.
time travel just. I can't think of what's another game that does time travel.
Oh, geez. Returnal. Returnal is pretty good.
Oh yeah, focused on. And God of War, I did it that one time, and then never did it again.
Yeah.
And then never.
Has anyone
Well, it also
played-
said don't do it.
has
I was
anyone
the time
played-
travel. Don't do it.
Even Chrono Trigger gets time travel messed up, but at least it's simple enough to make sense.
I know.
Has anyone played The Messenger?
No. The Layers of Fear blooper team did that. Wait, no, they didn't. I'm thinking of Observer. Never mind.
Yeah, that one does time travel.
Really?
Yeah.
Cool. Does it do it well? Is that the question? Or is...
Sort of. You're in a stable time loop.
Okay, that's a good one. That works.
And no, we're not going to talk about Zelda, because no.
No.
Oh, how could I forget that?
No, we're good. We're good.
Time.
Oh, Wind Waker.
Environmentalist themes with a level of maturity, class, and subtlety that makes these quote-unquote auteurs look like remedial speds by comparison.
Oh yeah, and
Eugene
Sonic did time travel that one time.
appears to
don't even
experience
bother.
the increasingly more oppressive as Sonic traversed from the beautiful, sprawling, iridescent backdrops of Green Hill Zone all the way to the miasmic, cold, sterile, and
Did you
Why
just
are you
say
driving
Sonic
by?
and then he just talked about Sonic? What the hell's going on? You just mentioned it and he just boom.
How did he go from Amy Henning to Sonic in 10 seconds?
Yeah.
I think my main problem with listening to him, and that's partially maybe because it's late, but I think he's talking mostly coherently, but he's talking a bit too monotonous and just flows into the next sentence so that you get lost. And I think he needs more.
Coffee.
He needs better verbal punctuation and an emphasis. That would help. That would help in better understanding him. I don't think the problem is that he talks relatively fast and dense, because this is very dense text. But the way he talks is, I think, mainly the problem.
that was Scrap Brain Zone in attempts to prevent Eggman from creating a cyber dystopia. Emergent storytelling in this vein is where video games truly excel, as player agency coalesces with developer intentionality through interactivity, producing an experience that no other medium can possibly provide.
Stop. That now sounds like you had it written by an AI bot, not like you actually wrote a pretentious text.
He probably did.
No. AI would not write that. It wouldn't sound like that. This is him.
Yeah, he might be reading the text.
No, he wrote that.
It's their
AI would not. AI would be much more long-winded, and it wouldn't be that convoluted. They'll have one or two big words, but it'll be like.
Oh, we had that one video from Rusty Cheese Knife, and he used AI scripts, and they sounded very. They sounded much worse.
No. What happened with his scripts is it sounds pretty good, and then like near the end, there'll be this one complex word that no one has ever heard of. You're like, what? Where did that come from? Like it's just like a philosophical term or an astrophysics term. You're like, what? Can we rewind that? I never even heard that word before.
It's also that Rusty's script didn't make real sense. This here kind of does.
Yeah, no,
it's just
this is
when
his voice.
When you string so many big words together, it so fast and then keep talking. It's really, you have to process that because your brain has to pick the meaning apart.
I kind of want to go back 30 seconds because I don't know how Amy Henning segued into Sonic.
It's okay. The argument's the same though. It's not going to change how we understand what he's saying. He's saying the nuance of Green Hills is this like go back 5 seconds and just try to understand this sentence because that's where we stopped.
Telling in this vein is where video games truly excel, as player agency coalesces with developer intentionality through interactivity, producing an experience that no other medium can possibly.
So he's trying to connect three ideas. He's saying the interactivity of video games as a genre is connecting with the intention of the developer to make a gameplay experience by the player that is unique to anything else. You're like, yes, I get it.
Intentionality gets me. Why would you?
I know.
Yeah, but I think this is where you get the this is jargon you get out of university, and it's unnecessarily big words for saying something simple.
I would argue
you don't
right,
need the big words here.
But that's like before you okay, for me it was right before I got into university. My brain would be operating on this using what's the term? The not the past participle, but the plural of a word, like
pleonasm.
Pluralisms, yeah, probably plural.
Pleonasmos.
Oh, that's a new one.
That is a huge word.
Yeah, just to string a sentence together as opposed to stopping and saying another sentence, I would just keep going. Don't do that.
Yeah, but it's in the vein of if you don't understand the topic, you use lots of big words to explain something simple. If you're really good at a topic, you can use very simple words to explain something complex. And that is my issue here. Because what he's describing is not something all too complex, but he uses unnecessarily big words, or rather too many unnecessarily big words, which is two things that is too many in. So it's a two-dimensional too many. It's a field. It's a way too wide field. This is not Effie Priest. He could say something along the lines of developers have the intention to make games that fit the players.
Yeah.
It's kind of what he said.
Possibly. It really is elegant in its simplicity. Myself, as we'll be covering this topic in full in a separate video. So let's finally wrap this up with a little confession. For a long while there, I sat on the sidelines waiting to see if gamers would more broadly push against the faulty notion that story-centric game design is the only way for video games to be viewed as a serious medium.
What is story-centric game design, sir? What do you mean?
Asuras Wrath.
No. What does he mean when he says story? Does that mean you write the story first, you put gameplay to match it? Do you integrate choices in stories? So there's branching paths? Do you have multiple endings? Like, what are you talking about?
But unfortunately, no one answered the call. I suppose it's clear at this point that if I want things done right, then I'm going to have to do them myself. Hence my triumphant return to the world of content creation. I'm sure that...
So, because the game you want isn't coming out, you're gonna go on YouTube?
This did end the way I thought it would.
What's that?
Which is saying, and then he's gonna, after the Druckmann comment, he was gonna say, and I could do it better.
Well, no. He's saying, I'm going to criticize it better, or whatever the shit it is he's talking about.
Well, for now, he's just saying, if things are not to my liking, I have to make things myself. Which is a good message at the end, and where we are hopefully getting more towards in general, societally.
Well, yeah, but he's just saying, I don't like IGN, I'm doing better, let me do it. I'm like,
okay, if he's saying that in terms of I'm going to be the good game critic, fine. If he's saying that in terms of I'm going to make the good games, and that's...
No, he didn't say that.
You don't put that on yourself, and then...
Yeah, but this is every YouTuber who's like, I can do it better than all the guys at Kotaku. It's like, yeah, so could a 4-year-old.
That is part of it, but it's rather when you phrase it as if things are not the way I like them, I have to do them myself, which is why I am now doing things again in general completely. That is the right direction.
Yeah, but that's how I started my channel. You know. I was on the Bioware social network. I got pissed off with all these fanboys who, it's perfect, it's amazing, it's going to change the show. It's like, no, it's not. It's got all these problems. And I listed them and no one listened, so then I put them online on YouTube videos. That was it.
No, it's not. Mass Effect 3 happened. There's nothing that can save this.
Yeah.
You have to make your own Mass Effect.
I don't want to.
It's going to be better than the TV show.
My own fan fiction.
Oh, God.
It's going to be better than the TV show.
Yeah, but
probably.
any kid can whip together spaceships and lasers and...
It's going to be better than the TV show.
I thought that was the beauty of an RPG, is I can make my own story. Or
well, that's the silly what is the selling point? You make your own story. It's for you. It's yours. You can do whatever you. It's like shut up.
Role playing.
Leave me alone.
You sound like a South Park character.
Yeah, I know.
We live in a South Park episode.
All right.
Rather a Boondocks episode.
As I outlined at the will be that gameplay is king. If you're evaluating games by any other metric, then you are objectively wrong and are doing something akin to judging the game.
Okay. Once again, it depends on if the game's, specifically
an art piece. Game. Exactly. If it's like a sound game or a rhythm game and you're evaluating them, well, it's the gameplay. No, it's the music. It's the sound. It's
no. If it's a rhythm game, then the gameplay is,
Nothing new. There's no difference. All the rhythm games
No,
are the
but
same.
it needs to be executed right.
Yeah, but
And
there's
for rhythm game, that needs to be spot on.
yeah, exactly. But there's only like one way to do it. It's either right or wrong, right?
Yeah, that's just the button inputs. The question is, how do you design it visually, and what weird combination things do you do? I saw this one really crazy thing on a tablet, and I don't play tablet games. I just can't. It's wrong. But it was a rhythm game with that you play with your fingers on the screen, and not just with one. And sometimes you don't just tap it, but you also follow the lines sometimes, and sometimes they cross over, and you switch the fingers for the lines. It's actually creative.
I can actually find this one. Hold on. Okay. So I can find the name of this one easily.
Wow, I've never.
Actually.
Have you ever seen it? Sorry. I just noticed, have you ever
Harvard
seen
Inspector
a discount?
says that's called piano tiles.
Oh.
Anyway,
I was gonna say, have you ever seen a Steam discount that's 100% off?
yeah.
Really?
Yes.
House Flipper is now 100% off.
That's because House Flipper 2 just came out 2 weeks ago.
Wow. It's a hell of a marketing attempt.
Yeah.
Well, definitely, because you can expect as the company that people are probably not going to buy your old game right now, so you can use your old game as advertisement. And if then people like the free game they got, and then see, oh, they made a second one, hey, maybe I'll buy that later. Then that makes sense.
It's like shareware is back.
Anyway, we got 30 seconds. Let's go.
Game of jerseys that the players wear. You know not what as your lifeline in your most desperate time of need. Hope you appreciate it. This medium deserves a better class of content creator, and through the community that I cultivate on this channel.
Okay, Mr. Joker, whatever.
Just don't get that pretentious, because if you make any mistake, it's going to be 100 times. It's going to.
Okay.
I'm going to be the critic. I'm going to be amazing, guys. Okay.
I found the name of your rhythm game. It's called Osu.
I'm not opposed to him, but I am not convinced that he is everything he talked about. I think he used AI to write a script for this at the very least. And I have this strange feeling that it is an AI voice after all. It's just too fluent. He takes no breaks.
Anyway, we got some memes, I think.
He really has a video that's just on the title, "What is a video game?"
Okay, sums up the Electric Playground's review of Ninja Gaiden 4 courtesy of Seeger. Okay. Wow. What do I look at first? I guess they really liked Ninja Gaiden. I don't know. It's been years since I looked at Electric Playground, and the only reason I looked at it
I thought they only did videos.
Well, no. When I was in school, one of my teachers was a journalist for the website, and part of our program was to do a review, and we would get published on Electric Playground.
Wow. That's a really neat thing to do in a class.
Yeah, because we could have actually went the route of being a video game critic. So, but yeah, we met what's his name, Victor Lucas, and he's talking about his job and where he lives. They still do video reviews. They still do it. Like Victor's still involved, but Tommy Tallarico left like a long time ago to do video games music. The video games live. Sorry, that's what it was called. Anyway. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. XY.
That's a classic. If you don't know Ninja Gaiden, then it's not. Also, no, and it has to be the Xbox Ninja Gaiden, not the NES.
Oh. Crap, I'm totally surrounded. Better swap to a more powerful weapon. What are you doing? I'm checking my inventory. You're supposed to be paused. No, what are you doing? You call that inventory management? Oh my God, why would you do this? Why is there a big cluster of TMP ammo? You don't have one. This pistol's fine. Where it starts, why would you move it? Hey Maria, look at this asshole's got that shaking.
Touch, I love it.
Yeah, that is horrible. There are one square pieces free.
Well, it's okay because the remake put in an auto sort.
Oh,
What?
really?
Yeah, they put in a button to make it
Inventory Tetris is half the game.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's a voluntary mini game.
It's optional, but and I guess you can turn it off. But they did put in auto sort the thing button.
It's like in Deus Ex 1. It's like half the fun. It's like, how do I fit things into the grid so that I can keep my bazooka?
You could read this. I'm not.
Okay.
Is a man not entitled to a big brown eagle?
I said you can read it, just not now. In the end, Hercules, Meg, and the other gods lived happily ever after. And then Kratos came.
Meg didn't even live happily ever after in the story she's based on.
Oh.
No one lived happily ever after in Greek mythology.
Guess I put the B specimen here, and then...
Yep.
Didn't Hades kind of come out okay? And yet everybody...
It looks like you solved my puzzle. No, I'm going to get you. Haha. Smash. Voila. Is that literally what happens in one of the games? You have to collect...
I actually just played RE1 Remake. It's not too far off.
Yeah.
But, the newer games don't have any kind of puzzles like that anymore. Kind of lame.
What others see, what I see. Press
it's
X.
Spyro.
Okay. Master Chief, you mind telling me what you're doing on that War Thunder forum? Sir, they got the M808B Scorpion wrong. Okay. Very important. Ma'am, squad leaders are requesting a rally point. Where should they go? To war. Aside from the fact that doesn't answer my fucking question.
She must...
Yeah, that's not... That's verbatim the scene. That's...
Look, she must be an engineer because her answer is technically correct but completely useless.
This is the guy who gave it a 5.9. Alien Isolation 2 announced, but all those armchair industry experts out there told me that my review specifically killed the sequel. Okay.
No, you don't remember that review? That was,
yeah.
I mean, that was a long time. Well, Alien Isolation came out, and IGN did. IGN was I think that was the beginning of when IGN became the meme of like they gave this unbelievable score to it.
Oh.
Like, yeah.
All right. RE villain eugenics eats pill that creates mass from nothing, becomes the thing prop at once. RE protagonist. RE protagonist whose name is like Jim John or something.
Blammo.
Yeah.
Because that worked against the thing.
When people say games make you violent, but you're too scared to pick the rude dialogue and hurt the NPC's feelings.
Yeah. You wouldn't believe how many people have that problem. There's statistics about that now.
Yeah, the majority of Mass Effect players throughout the entire series chose like 87 or 89% Paragon.
Yeah.
Wildly high.
And ended the genophage, which will doom the galaxy.
Yeah. Gaming
is so
dead
stupid.
when you tell them to play something other than a multiplayer FPS. Ninja Gaiden discourse can be toxic, man. Itagaki jihadists are a bunch of assholes. What? Itagaki, is that the guy who created it?
I think so. He did 1 and 2, I think.
Okay. That's Ninja Gaiden Black, or?
Yeah, Black. Black was just like the absolute golden pedestal for Ninja Gaiden.
Bayonetta. What in the god?
No guns, but
she has her hair with a gun. I don't know.
Well, that describes Bayonetta 3 mainly.
Her hair makes a gun?
No, but in regards to absolute silliness, that's not fun.
Oh. All right. I mean, I could see it. I thought her shoes were pretty cool, but, you know. I guess they changed it. Okay.
Technically, you
That-
don't get to Bayonetta 3 doesn't let you choose different weapons for hands and feet anymore.
Anyway,
Oh,
that was a wild video that wasn't so bad. We just had a lot to say, and we went off topic a lot. I don't think he's a bad YouTuber. He's just a little too wordy at times, I think.
a bit too much bluster.
Rough around the edges.
I think his emotions are, he's keeping them in check, but he's still letting them out, sort of deal. If he would just tone it down and get to the point of like, Druckmann is this game is bad because XYZ, don't start name calling for the sake of it.
I think he should have had a few more examples.
Yeah. I think it's
Like, what-
generally in the right direction.
Because I mean,
Yeah,
it
but-
is. You said this was a month ago, right? And it's just you're still pulling Last of Us 2 and Ragnarok as examples. I feel like there's a lot more you could.
Well, when I say a month ago, it's basically a few days ago because we just started.
That's
We just started April. So
Well, when we say a month ago, we usually mean 4 weeks, regardless of where we are in the month.
all right. Well, it's April and it says March, and I guess a month ago in my.
When you
mind.
say last month, that can include any of the previous 30 to 31 days.
This is true, including
Right.
the 31st. Anyway, we can cover another of his videos. He's okay. No big deal. A lot better than the options we were given before because those look horrible. Unless you guys still want to cover those, but that's really up to the panel.
What were the options?
Oh God!
One of the guys, Smut, wanted blacklisted, but apparently he slipped through. Like it happens that gets forgotten, and then the video slips into
What
the
was his
hole.
name?
That's
Basically, I'm a black racist man, and everything should be the way I think
Wait,
it is.
Birdman?
No.
You mean Birdman, right?
no, the other guy.
The other guy.
The even
I know
more
it doesn't
retarded-
narrow it down very
the
much.
even more
Okay.
retarded black guy who won't shut up about.
That still doesn't narrow it.
We covered him. We covered him. Was it a month ago? I can't remember. And it was the most banal. Nothing. Like imagine you just
Banal.
threw a bunch of words from the left into his brain, and that's all he was repeating himself over and over. You're like, okay, that's enough. No reason to cover that. So
TTBN Gaming.
something. It was some stupid acronym. I don't even know what that stands for.
Yeah. I just saw a picture of him in the thumbnail. So yeah,
It's silly.
I guess it was him.
It's so dumb. Like, don't even
The,
waste your
the
time.
video itself being anti-woke are the biggest crybabies online. TTBN man.
Whatever that even means. I don't even.
That sounds like a Birdman title.
Really? Oh God.
It's a projection video.
It's one of these things you don't waste your time. Like, this is not even worth looking at. It's just a silly thing, and you have better things to do. This at least we could talk about stuff we like, and criticize where he's going and his method of argumentation because he actually has an opinion that has some backing, and he just needs more examples to make that feel a bit solid. And,
Oh, I see the video now.
Yeah. Anyway, we're not going to do that. That's silly.
Under the Mail video looks like a good idea considering it was touched on earlier.
We haven't done an Under the Mayo in a while. That sounds good. Yeah.
In
Why not?
defense of fixed camera.
Ooh.
I did post that one, but I won't say.
Anyway, thank you guys. That was great. Happy Easter if you guys are enjoying it yet. Or if
Oh,
not,
yeah.
Tomorrow is
Easter
a big
week.
day. I'm cooking and everyone else is coming over and we're doing all kinds of food and dessert and God knows what else. So hopefully you had a nice, was it Easter Friday? Good Friday? And
What is Saturday called? I forget.
Easter Saturday?
Easter Sunday.
Wait, no, Saturday's called Holy Saturday, isn't it?
Oh yeah,
Or-
I don't remember. Yeah, I just
Saturday
remember.
doesn't have a name.
Well, it's a
It doesn't?
It's an official holiday on Friday. That's why it matters to the markets and to culture and people around the world. So it's the big Christian holiday. So yeah,
Well, appropriated.
sure.
Have fun rolling eggs down the hill.
Eggs and
That's an
pumpkin
American
pie.
pastime. It's
Yeah, yeah.
It's like
it's
baseball.
turkey and apple pie. It's the same idea. All right, guys. Thank you so much for your time. Have a good one. Keep the suggestions coming and the voting going. We'll talk to you soon. Have a good night.
Bye-bye.
Have a
Bye-bye.
good night.
I don't know.
Oh.
I think